subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
It's no longer useful to talk about these things. The Holy Lord looked at Sook and said, "Then what should we do now?" Loki was taken away, and the space gem was also taken away by him. How can we summon the alien army without the space gem? What the Holy Lord cares most about is his rule of the world. But he seems to have forgotten one very important thing. That is, I told Loki back then that I would never allow deception and betrayal. Although it was not Loki's initiative, he still broke his promise. So I will let him know the price of breaking his promise. The Holy Lord instantly understood what Suka meant. Are you going to Asgard? Do you need our help? The Holy Lord asked. Although the previous incident of being beheaded by Odin made the Holy Lord a little afraid. If Suku also goes together, then the Holy Lord will have nothing to fear. But when he heard this, Suku shook his head. "No, just you and Shimu wait for me here." Seeing this, I could only agree. But then he suddenly thought of something again and then said, "Then be careful. If his attack can hurt me, it might also hurt you." Suka glanced at the Holy Lord calmly, then shook his head and said, "Don't worry, he can't hurt me, because I'm different from you." 403, what a difference. When the Holy Master heard this, he was immediately speechless, but he couldn't say anything. Gone. At this moment, Suka suddenly waved his hand towards the Holy Lord and Shimu. The next second, a portal appeared directly in front of him, and on the other end of the portal was Asgard. Without any hesitation, Suk walked directly in. Immediately afterwards, he appeared on a street in Asgard. Because I have just experienced the plot of Thor 1, the entire Asgard seems a bit lifeless. But also because of this, no one noticed Suk's appearance. After taking a look at the surrounding environment, Suku smiled knowingly. Because everything here is similar to the scene when he first came to Asgard thousands of years ago. I have to say that he really misses his old life a little bit. It seems that it is time for the Asgardians to recall the fear of being shrouded by demons in the past. Although Suku had not planned to ask other demons for help before, but now he suddenly changed his attention. After all, having fun alone is not as good as having fun together. The next second, another portal opened, and on the other side of the portal was hell. Suk walked directly in and then shouted, "Bo Gang." Not long after, a monster like a hill came to Suk. It was the mountain devil, Bo Gang. "See you, Lon. What do you want from me?" Bo Gang asked some puzzled questions. Suk smiled slightly. "I'm going to let you go out for a walk. What do you think?" "What?" As soon as Bo heard this, he was stunned for a moment, because she never expected that Suku would release herself so soon. But before she could laugh out loud, Suku suddenly spoke again. "But you have to come back later." Bo Gang's eyes widened instantly, with a look of disbelief on his face. "Why?" Bo Gang asked angrily. She felt that Julin was playing tricks on her. He had clearly promised to let her out, but then he said that she would come back later. "You must know that she has been trapped in hell for thousands of years. If she gets out, she will never come back." Seeing this, Suku could only remain silent. "Because the place where I released you is not the earth, but a very special place, which is not suitable for the rule of demons." When Bo Gang heard this, he suddenly became more confused. "Not the earth? What is that?" But Suku was really too lazy to explain to Bo Gang, because with Bo Gang's IQ, it was really difficult for him to explain. So Suku asked directly, "I'm too lazy to talk about unnecessary nonsense. Just tell me whether you are willing or not. If you are not willing, I will find someone else." In Suku's opinion, the demon most suitable for this situation must be Bo Gang, because Bo Gang's defense is the highest among all demons. Suku even felt that Odin's eternal spear could not penetrate Bo Gang's body. Although Bo Gang is the best choice, if Bo Gang is unwilling, then Suku doesn't mind looking for Jongsu, because he knew that China and the Soviet Union would definitely be very willing as you. When Bo Gang heard this, he became anxious instantly. Although Bo Gang feels a little uncomfortable having to come back after going out, it is still an opportunity to go out 10 times, right? It's better than staying in hell forever, right? Thinking this way, Bo Gang finally agreed. "I promise you, very good. Sununtay kiskiviko nod satisfaction. At this moment, other demons also rushed over. See you, Lan. Didn't you say you wanted to find me an opponent? Where is he? Zhongsu asked impatiently with lightning wrapped around his body. It's obvious he can't wait. Suk smiled slightly. Don't worry. I promise you will see him soon. Now that you have come to Asgard, you will definitely meet Thor. So when the time comes, Suku is going to take Thor directly to hell, and then let Zhongsu have a good time. The battle between the god of thunder and the demon of thunder is interesting just thinking about it. Curse Lan, have you forgotten that we are still here? At this moment, Basha couldn't help but ask. Suka looked back and saw Basha looking at him angrily, with an aggrieved Sawfong squatting beside him. You must know that so far, 3 of the 8 demons have been freed. Although Digue didn't get his freedom, he also got his toys. That is the former Hulk. Needless to say about Bogang, Suk previously prepared a lot of delicacies from the human world for Bogang, and now he plans to let Bogang go out. Even China and the Soviet Union are about to get the opponent they want. But only Basha and Sawfong got nothing, and they couldn't leave hell, which made them a little aggrieved. But Suku is not used to their bad habits, because everything Suku does has his own plan. As a result, Inka said with a look of displeasure, "What? Do you have any objections to me?" When Basha and Sawfong heard this, they were speechless for a moment. What opinions can they have? Just kidding. How can we have any objections? Sawfong smiled awkwardly and then left directly. Although he was somewhat dissatisfied with Suku's behavior, he did not dare to speak out, because he knew that his only hope of getting out lay in Suku's hands. If he offended Suku, he would be trapped in hell forever. Seeing that Sawfong gave in, Basha had no choice but to leave angrily. Suku was too lazy to pay attention to these 2 guys, because as the boss of demons, and the only demon who can let demons leave hell, his status among all demons cannot be questioned or challenged. If Basha and Sawfong don't understand this truth, then they will have no choice but to stay in hell. By the way, Julan, what exactly do you want from me? Suddenly at this moment, Bogang couldn't help but ask. Just now, Bogang was just happy, and there were some things he didn't expect. But thinking about it now, Bogang suddenly felt something was wrong, because among all the demons, her relationship with Curse Blue is actually very average. She even always talked back to Curse Blue before, but Curse Lan chose to let her leave hell at this time instead of other demons. This made Bogang feel that there must be something fishy in this. But Suka did not answer this question, but opened the portal casually. Through the portal, Bogang instantly saw a large area of extremely prosperous city. It's Asgard. What I want you to do is destroy this city, Suk said slowly. Bo just laughed because this was her favorite thing to do. At the same time, she couldn't stop thinking about why Suka chose her. Now he just wants to devour everything in this city. At the same time, the people of Asgard were also shocked by the portal that suddenly appeared in the sky. They didn't understand what was going on at all. They just looked at the portal in the sky with blank expressions. However, in the next second, a pair of huge amounts of green palms suddenly grabbed both sides of the portal. Immediately afterwards, a green monster began to crawl out. This monster is clearly the mountain demon, Bogang. I'm finally free. The moment he appeared in Asgard, Bogang looked up to the sky and laughed. After thousands of years, she finally gained freedom. Although this freedom was short-lived, she was still very happy. At the moment, the people of Asgard were completely shocked by the monster in front of them. After all, no one expected that such a monster would appear in such a sacred place as Asgard. Immediately afterwards, something even more terrifying happened to them. Bogang glanced around and suddenly saw 2 Asgardians standing not far away. Without any hesitation, Bogang reached out and grabbed the 2 people, then stuffed them directly into his mouth and chewed them. Although the people of Asgard have strong physiques and strength, they're still vulnerable to Bogang. Oba! With a burst of screams, the people of Asgard finally reacted and then fled in all directions. But this made Bogang even more excited. Immediately afterwards, the wave began to destroy and devour everything in the city of Asgard. Just a minute, by the time he arrived, Gang had already eaten hundreds of Asgardians. It even destroyed a neighborhood. At the same time, Gang's appearance instantly attracted the attention of the Asgard guards. Countless Asgard soldiers launched an attack on Bogan. But how can these ordinary Asgard soldiers be Gang's opponents? As soon as opened her mouth, countless Asgard soldiers were instantly stuffed into her mouth. Then he chewed it loudly. Similarly, Gang also attracted Thor's attention. Not long after, a man with a hammer flew towards Gang, and it turned out to be Thor. When he saw the demon in front of him clearly, Thor was instantly surprised, because he suddenly thought of what Loki said just now. Loki told him that if he returned to Asgard, the demon would definitely take revenge on him in Asgard. But he didn't care at the time because he didn't believe that any demon would dare to attack Asgard. But now this scene seems to confirm Loki's previous words. At this moment, Thor suddenly saw Gang grabbing several Asgard soldiers and preparing to stuff them into his mouth. At this moment, Thor became very angry. Damn devil. Stop it. Without any hesitation, Thor threw the hammer away. Gang was busy devouring everything around him and didn't even see the sudden attack of Thor, and was instantly hit by Mjolnir in the body. But what surprised Thor was that in the face of such a powerful attack, Gang only took a step back. What happened? How come this demon's defense is so strong? Thor was shocked. Suku, who was watching the battle not far away, looked calm. This is completely expected, because Gang's defense is the highest among all demons. She is immune to all spells and physical attacks. It's just Mjolnir. How could it cause harm to her? Moreover, Gang also has an ability that can be called a bug. That is, the more she eats, the stronger her defense and strength will become. And there is no limit to this improvement. This means that as long as Gang keeps eating, she can keep getting stronger. For example, right now, Gang has eaten hundreds of Asgardians and some buildings. As these things were integrated into the body, Gang's body size was now twice as large as before. At the same time, Gang finally noticed Thor. But don't get me wrong, it wasn't Thor's attack that hurt Gang. It was because of Thor's attack that Gang accidentally dropped the Asgard soldiers he had captured before. This made Gang very angry, because what she hated most was being disturbed while she was eating. Immediately afterwards, without any hesitation, just stretched out huge amounts of palm and hit Thor. The mouth is still big 2.6 shouted. Get away. Damn little bug, don't bother me eating. Thor rolled over to avoid Porgan's attack, then raised Mjolnir again. This time he is going to summon lightning to deal with Gang. However, at this moment, a portal suddenly appeared not far away. At the same time, a strange force suddenly restricted his actions and controlled his body to rush towards the portal. What happened? Thor was shocked instantly. He instinctively wanted to struggle, but found that he could not break free from the control of this power. He could only let this force drag him into the portal. At this moment, Gang was a little confused because the guy who attacked her suddenly disappeared. But the next second, Gang suddenly didn't care anymore. Then, she started selling Asgard. Meanwhile, in Hell, Jong-soo, who had been waiting, suddenly opened his eyes and said excitedly, "Coming." Sure enough, in the next second, a man fell from the sky. Then it's Thor. No doubt this is what Suka did. Kurslon, are you sure this guy is very powerful? Looking at Thor, who was at a loss not far away, Jong-soo looked at Suku and asked. Suku smiled and said, "Don't underestimate this guy. He is known as the god of thunder and lightning, and he's a good match for you." God of thunder and lightning? When Jong-soo heard this name, his brows instantly wrinkled, because what he hates most is God, especially a god who has the same attributes as him. The god of thunder and lightning? Very good. Then I will kill this god of thunder and lightning today, Jong-soo said with a ferocious smile. The next second, the thunder and lightning on his body became more and more violent. Chapter 92, Thunder Demon versus God Thor. But when he heard this, Suku shook his head. No, you just need to defeat him. Don't kill him. Why? When Jong-soo heard this, he asked curiously. He didn't understand why Suka cared about the life of a god. You know, Suk is a devil. Aren't demons and gods supposed to be mortal enemies? Suku explained calmly. The righteousness and black aura in this world need to be balanced. In other words, the stronger the righteousness is, the stronger the black aura will be. And as long as black aura's power is strong, we will also become strong. So sometimes we have to make sure that there are some powerful heroes in this world. Not for them, but for us. Forehead. I don't know if it was because he stayed in hell for too long, but Jong-soo couldn't understand what Suka meant for a while. Seeing that Jong-soo still didn't understand, Suka could only speak more straightforwardly. To put it simply, as long as you let him live, you'll have a chance to get out of hell. Do you understand? Now, Soo finally understood. Then, he nodded seriously. Well, I promise I won't kill him. After saying this, Jong-soo immediately rushed towards Thor. Meanwhile, Thor still hasn't figured out what's going on. He doesn't know where this place is, and he doesn't know who brought him here. He only knew that he was forced by a strange force to pass through an inexplicable portal, and then came to this ghost place. He tried to use Mjolnir to leave, but he couldn't. It seems like this is not the original world. Suddenly, at this moment, a burst of lightning flashed not far away, and then a tall demon appeared in front of him. The moment he saw the demon, Thor was stunned, because this demon's body is actually wrapped with countless flashing thunder and lightning, just like the real Thor. He has seen many demons in his life and defeated many demons. But this was the first time I saw a demon who could control thunder and lightning like him. 21 for a moment, he suddenly thought of what Loki said before. It seems that Loki really didn't lie. Are you the god of thunder and lightning? Just when Thor was thinking about it, Jong-soo suddenly spoke. Thor gritted his teeth, raised the hammer in his hand, and said, "That's right. I am Thor, the Prince of Asgard." Jong-soo frowned after hearing Thor's introduction, because to be honest, he really doesn't know where Asgard is. But then, China and the Soviet Union suddenly didn't care much. The next second, he looked directly at Thor and said, "Let me introduce myself. I am Thunder Demon, Jong-soo. But you don't have to worry, because I promise I won't let you down." What? When Thor heard this, he didn't care about Jong-soo's provocation, but looked at Jong-soo with a shocked face and said, "Wait, you said this is hell? How'd I end up in hell?" But at the moment, Jong-soo was too lazy to answer Thor's question. The next second, I saw streaks of thunder and lightning condensed in Jong-soo's hands and then released at Thor. Seeing this, Thor did not dare to be careless and waved Mjolnir in his hand. In an instant, Mjolnir also burst out with a violent thunder and lightning. Boom! 2 lightning bolts collided and instantly lit up the entire hell. In this way, the god of thunder and the thunder demon began their battle. Not far away, 3 demons, Dikue, Safong, and Basha, sat together and began to watch the battle with relish. There is no way. Who makes life in hell so boring? This is the only thing they can do at the moment. By this time, Suka had already returned to Asgard. With Thor's sudden disappearance, it seems that no one here can stop Bo Gang anymore. Those so-called Asgard soldiers do not pose the slightest threat to Bo Gang. They can only become her food rations. Ever since Bo started a massacre in Asgard, and as Bo Gang constantly devoured Asgardians and everything around her, her body and strength became stronger and stronger. Suk stood on the roof of a palace and glanced at Bo Gang. Then he looked at the most magnificent palace not far away, which was the temple where Odin lived. At the moment, Suk was really curious. Bo Gang was already like this. Why didn't Odin take action? This is really strange. As the king of God, how could Odin allow the devil to destroy Asgard wantonly? At this moment, Suka's heart suddenly moved. Odin must have fallen into a deep sleep, right? All right, Suk guessed it right. The reason why Odin did not take action was because Odin fell into a deep sleep after returning to Asgard with Thor and Loki. This is a skill unique to Odin. Odin must go into deep sleep every once in a while, because this can extend his life and replenish his strength. If Odin did not enter a deep sleep, his divine power would become extremely weak. In fact, it was time for Odin to sleep long ago, but he deliberately postponed his sleep in order to find Loki. After going to Earth with Thor to bring Loki back, he could no longer hold on. Then he fell into a deep sleep. Who could have imagined the result? As soon as Odin fell asleep, Suku came to Asgard with Bo Gang to cause trouble. Definitely, although no one else thought of this, Loki definitely did. At the moment, in the main hall of Asgard, Loki and his mother Frigga were already frightened and overwhelmed by this scene. Although Suku has not appeared so far, Loki knows that all this must have been done by Suku, because he had to cooperate with the Holy Lore before. Loki also learned a little bit about the demons on the earth. It is also because of this that he knows that in addition to the Holy Lord, there are 7 other ancient demons on the earth, and they are all brothers and sisters. In addition to the Holy Lord and Curse Blue he had seen before, there were 6 demons, and the demon that appears in Asgard at the moment is the demon of the mountain, Bogon. According to records, that was an extremely terrifying guy with extremely amazing defense power. Loki already knew this just now, because even in the face of Thor's attack, Bo Gang had no reaction. Definitely, this is not the most terrible thing. The most terrible thing is that since the wave has just arrived, Loki is sure that the Cursed Blue will also come. Even at the moment, Cursed Blue is somewhere in Asgard. When he thought of this, Loki instantly didn't know what to do, because there is really nothing he can do about Cursed Blue. Then he suddenly thought of something, and then walked over to Odin, who was sleeping in the sleeping cabin with an angry look. "I've told you, don't bring me back. Don't bring me back. Why don't you listen? I have a deal with those demons. If I don't complete the deal, the demons will definitely come to me. He's going to kill us all. But you never believed me. Now it's better. The whole of Asgard is going to be destroyed. Are you happy now?" Loki yelled angrily. He was really PD off. "Originally, I was fine on Earth. I just had to help the Holy Lord summon the Chitauri army, and then draw space gems and mind gems to bring to Thanos. Then he could be completely liberated. As a result, he never expected that Odin and Thor would appear at this time, and forcibly brought him back to Asgard. This made all his efforts in vain. Now the demon has descended on Asgard, and Odin fell into a deep sleep again, and even Thor disappeared inexplicably. They can't resist the demon's attack at all, especially Curse Blue. When he thought of this, Loki suddenly became angry. He walked directly to the sleeping cabin and wanted to force open the sleeping cabin to wake up Odin. Things have developed to this point. Instead of just waiting for death, it is better to forcefully wake up Odin and let him stop Curse Blue. After all, they can't just do nothing and wait for death, right? This feeling is really too painful. "Loki, stop." But at this moment, Frigga stopped Loki. "Loki, you can't do this. Your father has just fallen into a deep sleep. If you disturb him, you will cause him serious harm," Frigga advised. Although he already knows that he is not Frigga's biological child, Loki still has great feelings for this mother. So when he heard this, he could only step aside angrily. But Loki still hasn't given up the idea of awakening Odin. He pointed to Bo Gang, who was destroying Asgard outside, and said, "Mother, do you think there is any other way besides waking up father? The demon is destroying Asgard, and my father is sleeping. Thor just went out and disappeared. Who else can protect Asgard now? And that's not the worst thing. The worst thing is that the moon demon hasn't come yet. Do you know the moon demon? It's the demon who wanted to destroy Asgard thousands of years ago. Faced with such a powerful demon, what else can we do besides awakening my father?" When Frigga heard this, she became silent for a while, because she knew Loki was right. In this current situation, there seems to be no other way except to wake up Odin. Although this may hurt Odin, it is better than destroying Asgard, right? Thinking of this, Lygia finally chose to compromise. She looked at Loki and said, "Okay, I promise you, but give me some time and I will wake up your father myself." "Good." Loki heard this and nodded immediately. In his opinion, as long as Odin wakes up, at least they still have some hope. Loki. But at this moment, a voice suddenly rang from the palace door. The moment he heard this voice, Loki couldn't help but shudder, because the one who called him was none other than Yu Zhixia Magic. Curse Blue. Loki was almost crying from fear at this moment, because just now he was still thinking about when the Curse Blue would come, but the next second, the Cursed Blue actually came. This time, it's really going to kill me. You know, it also takes time to wake up Odin. And what they lack most now is time. Devil, get out of Asgard. And the moment Suku appeared, the soldiers guarding the Asgard palace immediately rushed out. Their duty is to protect the sleeping Odin. So no matter how violent Bogon is outside, they are indifferent. It wasn't until Suku appeared here that they took action. But facing these Asgard soldiers, Thick just sneered. Immediately afterwards, his eyes suddenly turned cold, and a force began to spread. Almost instantly, those Asgard soldiers were suddenly frozen on the spot. No matter how hard they try, they can't move. Pissed, accompanied by bursts of strange sounds, all the Asgard soldiers suddenly exploded one by one. Countless internal organs and blood filled the entire Asgard palace. Make this sacred place look bloody. To be honest, if these guys had spoken politely just now, Suku might not have killed the maid 80. But the tone of their conversation just now really made Suku unhappy. So Suku had no choice but to kill them. Anyway, I came to Asgard to cause trouble this time, and I don't mind making things even bigger. And Loki didn't know what to say at this moment. Especially after those Asgard soldiers were killed by Suku, he instinctively wanted to escape. But when he thought that Frigga was still here, he could only resist the urge to run away. Although as the god of trickery, he is cold-blooded and ruthless, but he still has deep feelings for this mother. Furthermore, in order to prevent him from escaping and causing trouble again, Odin had imprisoned the magic on him. Now he is just a mortal who cannot use magic. So where can he escape? Thinking like this, Loki could only suppress the fear in his heart, then walked up to Liku and said with a forced smile, "Dear Demon Lord, why are you here?" Suku sneered. "That's a good question. How did I come to Asgard? Maybe it's because someone here betrayed me." Loki's heart tightened and he hurriedly said, "It's nothing. How could I betray you?" Loki shook his head and quickly denied the incident. And he actually didn't lie, because he had no intention of running away in the first place. He was brought back forcibly by Odin and Thor. But it's obvious that Suku doesn't approve. Then what's going on with the Holy Lord's head? Although I also hate the Holy Lord is my brother after all. Before you chopped off his head, did you ever think about what I would do? How about I chop off your head too? Suku smiled, but his tone was extremely cold. Loki was instantly frightened, because demons will not die even if their heads are cut off. But if he is cut off, he will definitely die. Loki just continued to plead, "Don't. I know you're angry, but it's none of my business. I don't want to come back either, but my father insists on taking me back. What can I do? As for the matter of the Holy Lord, I am even more unjust. It was not me who did it." At this point, Loki suddenly changed his tone. But it doesn't matter. Now that Odin has fallen into a deep sleep, I can return to Earth with you right away to complete the previous things. I promise. I will definitely help the Holy Lord rule the Earth. But when Suko heard this, he shook his head. "I will definitely take you back, because this is what you promised before, but I must also make you pay the price for your actions. And this is what you pay for," Suk said, and then looked at Bo Gang, who was wreaking havoc outside. At the moment, as Bo Gang swallowed more and more things, her body became bigger and bigger. People throughout Asgard have fallen into deep despair. In their view, Bogong is the end of Asgard. Chapter 93, Destroy at Asgard. Devil, don't be presumptuous. This is Asgard. At this moment, Frigga suddenly shouted loudly. Suk glanced at Frigga, then smiled slightly and said, "You know that even the previous generation of Asgard's God King Bor didn't dare to talk to me like this. Who do you think you are?" The next second, Suku stretched out his hand, and a force instantly imprisoned Frigga in the air. When he saw the scene, Luo Ji panicked instantly. He hurriedly shouted to Suk, Don't do anything. You could discuss everything." Suk glanced at Loki calmly, and then said, "Loki, it seems you really don't understand your mother." At the same time, with the force in Suk's hand, Frigga's neck was broken. "No!" Loki yelled in grief and anger, and then rushed over. Then in the next second, Loki suddenly froze, because the moment Frigga's body fell to the ground, Frigga's body suddenly turned into a ray of light and disappeared. What happened? Loki looked confused, not knowing what was going on. However, at this moment, Inka said calmly, "Frigga, Stop acting and come out. I know it's just a phantom of yours." After a brief silence, Frigga's figure suddenly appeared from beside the sleeping cabin. At the moment, she was still using magic in her hands, as if she wanted to wake up the sleeping Odin. The moment he saw Frigga, Loki realized that Frigga just now was just a phantom. Loki seems to have forgotten that his mother is also a powerful magician. But even so, Frigga's actions still couldn't escape Suku's eyes. Definitely, this is no longer important. Frigga didn't say anything else. She just saw Odin in the sleeping cabin. Loki realized something in an instant and looked towards the sleeping cabin. Sure enough, the sleeping Odin suddenly opened his eyes. Although no one told Odin what happened, Odin understood everything in an instant. Suku had actually noticed that Frigga was trying to wake up Odin, but he didn't say anything or stop Frigga's behavior, because Suk just wants Odin to wake up. In this case, the next thing will become more interesting. However, in the next second, a golden light suddenly came towards Suku's snake. A golden spear vaguely appeared in the light, containing endless power of destruction. It's Odin's eternal spear. But facing Odin's attack, Suku didn't react much. He just turned slightly to the side, and the eternal spear flew past him. Definitely, this is not because Odin's accuracy is bad, but because he was not Suku from the beginning. But Bogon is wreaking havoc in Asgard. Sure enough, the next second, the eternal spear directly hit Bogang's body. And just like Suku thought before, even the eternal spear cannot penetrate Bogang's body. But even so, the huge power attached to the eternal spear still directly knocked Bogang away. In an instant, Bogang snaked towards the depths of the universe like a bullet. This sudden attack instantly made Bogang a little overwhelmed. By the time she reacted, she had already appeared in the universe. What the hell? Bogang was a little confused for a while. After all, this was her first time in the universe, and she couldn't adapt to the environment here. However, at this moment, a portal suddenly appeared not far behind Bogang. And on the other side of the portal is hell. Immediately afterwards, a force began to envelope Bogang, and then pushed her into hell again. Although I knew early on that I would return to this hell place again. But when it came to this step, Bogang's heart was still full of unwillingness. After all, the feeling of freely swallowing everything before was so wonderful. But now, what can she say? Immediately afterwards, Bogang found the largest pumice stone, then lay down on it, and began to slowly digest the things he had eaten before. The scene returns to Suk. Odin's eternal spear has a special skill. That is, it will automatically return to Odin after hitting the target. So after the eternal spear hit Bogon, it returned to Asgard and prepared to fly back to Odin. However, when the eternal spear passed by Suku, the eternal spear suddenly stopped next to Suku. There is no way to go back to Odin. When they saw this scene, Loki and Frigga were instantly shocked, because they have never encountered anything like this. You must know that so far, they have never seen anyone who can control Odin's eternal spear. Odin frowned because he knew that Suki used his own power to imprison the eternal spear. He tried to recall the eternal spear, but the eternal spear did not move at all, which meant that the opponent's power was far greater than his own. Definitely, this is not an easy thing for Suk, because Suku could feel that the power contained in the eternal spear was too powerful. But fortunately, Odin is very weak at the moment because he has not completed his sleep, which means that the current Suku is enough to crush Shurgong. The next second, Suku stretched out his hand and held the eternal spear in his hand, and then it went straight to Odin. However, the imagined scene of piercing Odin did not happen, because the moment the eternal spear approached, Odin easily took the eternal spear in his hand. Immediately afterwards, the atmosphere in the palace suddenly became tense. In the end, it was Suku who spoke first. Honestly, Odin, you are much worse than your father Bor. If Bor were here, maybe he would have stopped me long ago. This is not a joke by Suku. Odin's father Bor was very powerful back then, with strength comparable to level single universe. Every time Curse Blue attacked Asgard, he was blocked by Bor, and over time he gave up. But if it was Odin who met back then, Asgard would have been destroyed by him long ago. Odin was not angry when he heard this, but slowly said, "Devil, what is your purpose in coming here? Although Odin has woken up, he is extremely weak at this moment because he did not enter a deep sleep. If he really takes action, he may not be Su-Ku's opponent. What's more, Thor is missing now, and he was probably caught by Su-Ku. All in all, things became very troublesome, and Odin did not dare to take action casually. Purpose? When he heard this, Su-Ku immediately laughed. He pointed a Loki not far away and said, I came here just for Loki, because Loki made a deal with us not long ago. But because you took Loki away by force, this transaction could not continue. So I came to find Loki myself. At this point, Su-Ku suddenly changed his tone. But now, I suddenly want to destroy Asgard. Originally, when Odin heard the first half of the sentence, he frowned and then glanced at Loki next to him. Obviously, he didn't expect that Loki would cause him so much trouble this time. But at the same time, he also knew that Luoji did not lie before. When he wanted to leave with Loki, Loki didn't want to leave at all and said with a frightened look that the devil would come to him. It seems now that if I had asked clearly about the cause of the matter at that time, it might not be like this. Then, when he heard the second half of Su-Ku's words, Odin's aura suddenly exploded. He looked at Su-Ku and shouted, Want to destroy Asgard? Then step over my corpse first. Although Odin is a little weak at the moment, his strength has not recovered. But if Su-Ku really intends to destroy Asgard, then Odin will definitely fight to the death. Because this is his dignity as the king of God. His dignity cannot be trampled upon by a demon. However, when he heard this, Su-Ku didn't care at all and just sneered. Really? Then give it a try. After saying this, Suk's body slowly flew up and then appeared above Asgard. At the same time, the sky of Asgard was suddenly shrouded in shadow. The Asgardians who had just escaped from Bogang's mouth had not yet reacted to the experience, and were suddenly shocked again by the scene in front of them, because at the moment, the entire Adelaide is actually surrounded by several huge amounts of planets. These planets surround Asgard, as if they will collide directly with Asgard in the next second. Oh my god, what the hell is going on? First, demons slaughtered wantonly in Asgard, and now dozens of planets gathered around Asgard, preparing to collide with Asgard. What the hell is going on in Asgard? Is today really the end of them? Countless Asgard people fell to the ground, looking at the scene in the sky in shock. At the moment, they only felt deep despair. At the same time, Odin and the others also noticed the changes outside and rushed out. Immediately afterwards, they also saw the dozens of planets suspended around Asgard. Definitely, there's also the moon demon who is suspended in midair and looking at them with a sneer. Considering the size of those planets, if they really hit Asgard, Asgard will definitely be destroyed. And there's no doubt that this was definitely done by Curselon, because except for Curselon, no one could do such a thing. Looking at the scene in front of him, Loki suddenly felt a wave of panic in his heart, because he understands that in the face of such a demon, even his father Odin has no way to win. Odin's face was also solemn, because he also knew that he could not handle the matter in front of him. Although it is not difficult to destroy these dozens of planets with his current power, he knows that it is useless, because Su-Ku can summon dozens more planets to hit Asgard again. This means that he can't stop Su-Ku at all. Devil, what do you want to do? Odin asked through gritted teeth. He knew that Su-Ku's purpose this time was not to destroy Asgard. If Katsu really wanted to destroy Asgard, there would be no need for him to come here and talk to him so much nonsense. He only needs to directly summon the planet and hit Asgard. Even if Asgard is protected by a protective shield, it cannot withstand such an impact. So, in his opinion, Suk should have some other purpose. But in the next second, the two planets suddenly collided with Asgard. Odin's eyes widened instantly, with an incredible look on his face. What happened? Did you guess wrong? Although he was horrified, the current situation no longer allowed him to think too much. Without any hesitation, Odin threw the Eternal Spear again. The target is directly at the two planets that are crashing directly into Asgard. However, just when the Eternal Spear flew into the air, it was still lying in the air. There is no doubt that this was done by Su-Ku. Devil, what are you going to do? Odin roared angrily. He originally thought that Suku would not destroy Asgard, but now it seems that is not the case. But Suk didn't answer his question, just looked at him with a sneer. At the same time, the two planets collided with Asgard, boom, accompanied by bursts of earth-shattering crashes. The entire Asgard was instantly a sea of fire. Thousands of people died in an instant, and countless others were injured. And these are just the two smallest planets. It is conceivable that if all the remaining planets collide with Asgard, Asgard will definitely be destroyed in an instant. Odin looked at Suku with great anger. At the moment, he really wanted to kill Suku, but he knew that this was impossible. With his current strength, he simply couldn't kill a demon. What's more, demons are immortal and cannot be killed at all. That's right, he chopped off the Holy Lord's head before and also restricted the Holy Lord's power. But you must know that Suk is not the Holy Lord. The same methods used to deal with the Holy Lord are useless against Suku and will only anger Suku even more. Frigga on the side also looked at Suk angrily. Immediately afterwards, she seemed to remember something, and then magic began to appear around her. Odin took one look at Frigga and knew what she was going to do. It's obvious that Frigga plans to use magic to seal Suku. But then, Odin stopped Frigga. It's useless. Since he can escape from hell, it proves that hell can't trap him at all. Odin shook his head and said. Suku smiled slightly when he heard this, and said to himself that Odin is really smart. He even guessed this. The next second, Suk looked at Odin and Frigga with a playful expression and said, Actually, there's no need for you to be so desperate, because if I remember correctly, don't you have a daughter, Hela? Why don't you release Hela? What? When they heard this, Odin and Frigga were instantly shocked. How could they not think of why Suk knew about Hela? Loki on the side also looked confused. It was obvious that he didn't know that he had a sister. In fact, Odin could definitely choose to release Hela at this point. But he knew that Hela would not choose to protect Asgard the moment she came out. Instead, she will directly kill his father and all those who disobey her. To put it simply, Hela will only bring greater disaster to Asgard. And even Hela may not be Suku's opponent. For a moment, the scene suddenly fell into a deadlock. It seems that no matter what they do, Asgard is destined to be destroyed. Chapter 94. Righteousness Awakening? No, Death God is joining the Avengers. At this moment, Loki suddenly stood up. Loki looked at Suk and said, Wait, actually there is no need for this. Don't the demons want the earth? I will help you rule the earth, and Asgard will not interfere in this matter. Please let Asgard go, please. I promise. What happened before will never happen again, and I will never betray you again. Loki begged. Although he's not a real Asgardian, he is full of feelings for Asgard, so he doesn't want to see Suk destroy Asgard. But it is not up to him to decide whether to destroy Asgard or not. It's up to Suku. Looking at Loki in front of him, Suku did not speak, but used his power to imprison him again and move him in front of him. Let him go. Odin was instantly furious, and the eternal spear fired a burst of fierce light again. Obviously, Odin thought Suku was going to attack Loki. However, at this moment, Loki said, Father, don't do anything. I'm Fine. Odin gritted his teeth and finally did not launch an attack. Immediately afterwards, Suk finally spoke. Loki, can I trust you again? Suk asked slowly. Definitely. I promise. Such a thing will never happen again. From now on, you are my master, and I will never betray you. Please let Asgard go. Loki looked at Suk with a complicated expression and said, For the sake of Asgard, I decided to become Suku's servant completely. The majestic prince of Asgard is actually willing to become a servant of a demon. This may seem embarrassing, but it's the only thing Loki can do right now. Loki! Odin's angry voice came again. He could not accept his son calling the devil his master, even if this demon has the power to destroy Asgard. But the next second, Loki interrupted him again. Father, this is the only thing I can do for you. Don't stop me. When Odin heard this, his expression suddenly became complicated, and even Frigga beside him couldn't help crying. Because for them, this is absolutely a shame. As the king of God of Asgard and the mother of the gods. They couldn't even protect their own sons. Instead, he asked his son to surrender to the devil to protect them. Asgard has never suffered such humiliation in thousands of years. Odin really wanted to resist. He wanted to use up his last divine power to fight Su-Ku. But he can't point 727, because even if he uses up his last divine power, he will never be Su-Ku's opponent. On the contrary, it will completely anger Su-Ku, leading to the final destruction of Asgard. When he thought of this, Odin's already old face instantly became even older, and Loki couldn't care less about looking at Odin's expression at the moment. He looked at Su-Ku nervously, as if waiting for Su-Ku's final answer. Su-Ku first looked at Loki and Odin with interest, and finally nodded. In this case, then I will let Asgard go. But you have offended me before, so I must punish you. The next second, Su-Ku snapped his fingers. Immediately afterwards, 3 more planets hit Asgard. Boom, boom. With 3 huge amounts of sound, almost half of Asgard's territory was destroyed. For a time, countless Asgardians were howling in pain. At the moment, Odin's eyes were on fire, but there was nothing he could do, because he knew that if he didn't want the entire Asgard to be destroyed, it would be best for him to do nothing. Although Loki felt extremely uncomfortable, he also knew that he could not resist at this time, so he could only accept it all silently. In this way, Su-Ku completely made Asgard surrender. Su-Ku was very satisfied with this. In fact, he had no intention of completely destroying Asgard from the beginning, because once Asgard is destroyed, the righteousness and black aura of this world will be completely out of balance. In order to make up for the balance between righteousness and black aura, righteousness will either summon other superheroes or weaken the devil. And neither of these is what Su-Ku wants to see. So he finally plans to let Asgard go. Anyway, it has destroyed more than half of Asgard's territory and slaughtered thousands of Asgardians. The face that was lost by the Holy Lord before was finally recovered. Immediately afterwards, Suk lifted Loki's imprisonment, and Loki was free again. Suddenly at this moment, Loki thought of something again, then looked at Suk and asked, "By the way, my master, where's my brother? Please forgive him too." Thor? When Su-Ku heard this, he remembered that Thor was still in hell. With a thought in his mind, a portal instantly appeared in front of him. Immediately afterwards, a man whose body was charred was thrown out like garbage. Who else could it be if he wasn't Thor? Kurslan, as promised before, I didn't kill him. At the same time, the voices of China and the Soviet Union rang out. Su-Ku smiled slightly, because he did not expect that Jongsu would be so obedient this time. Obviously, Jongsu was afraid of going against his will, which prevented him from leaving hell. Sure enough, as the boss of demons, his majesty is still very useful. Thor. When seeing this scene, Odin and Frigga shouted and rushed forward to hug Thor. Although they already knew that Su-Ku must have taken Thor away, they never expected that Thor would become like this. The only thing that comforted them was that Thor was not dead, but just fell into a coma. Su-Ku looked calm, because he had known for a long time that when the Thunder Demon faced off against the God of Thunder, the final victory would still belong to the Thunder Demon. This Jongsu guy really didn't embarrass himself. Immediately afterwards, Su-Ku no longer paid attention to Odin and Frigga, but said to Loki, "Let's go." Loki looked back at his parents and brother behind him, and finally nodded. At the same time, a closed door appeared in front of Suk again. Suk walked right in, followed closely by Loki. And the moment Su-Ku left Asgard, the planets that surrounded Asgard before slowly returned to their original positions. In this way, Asgard's crisis seemed to have finally been resolved. But the price this time was something that no one expected. Meanwhile, Earth. When they saw Suk coming back with Loki, Shang-Zhu and Shimu also rushed to greet him. Loki, UBD. The moment he saw Loki, the Holy Master immediately started to curse. But at the moment, facing the Holy Lord's abuse, Loki showed no expression, as if nothing mattered. In fact, this is indeed the case. Now that he is completely controlled by the demons, what else does he care about? I'm going to urge them to build the machine as soon as possible. We can summon the Chitauri army in a few days. After Loki said this to Suk, he walked past like a factory. When seeing this scene, the Holy Lord was somewhat curious. Because when I was working before, Loki wasn't so caring. What's going on now? Immediately afterwards, the Holy Lord looked at Suku and asked, "What's going on? I feel like he's a little different. What did you do to him?" "It's nothing, but you can rest assured that what happened before will not happen again." Suku was too lazy to explain too much to the Holy Lord and just said a few words to deal with the choice of life. Although the Holy Lord was a little speechless, he also knew that Suku should have completely solved the matter on Asgard. Otherwise, Loki wouldn't be able to come back with him. Does this mean Suk defeated Odin? When he thought of this, the Holy Lord felt surprised. After all, he had already seen Odin's strength, but seeing that things seemed to be back on track, the Holy Lord disappeared immediately. He only cares about things on Earth, and he doesn't care much about things outside the Earth. After meeting Suku and Shimu rarely, the Holy Lord hurriedly talked about the invasion of the Earth again. "Then, my brothers, we will take action in the next few days. Don't forget your previous promises then." The Holy Lord said again, "Don't worry, Holy Lord, I will keep my promise." Shimu was a little disgusted with the Holy Master's constant urging, but he still nodded and agreed. Immediately afterwards, the Holy Master looked at Suku again. But the next second, the Holy Lord was instantly speechless, because at the moment, Suku had already opened a portal and left, with no intention of talking to him. Immediately afterwards, Zehexi walked in. The Holy Lord was left with a pained face, but the Holy Lord had nothing to say. After returning to the villa, Shimu returned to his room and began to prepare for the subsequent war. Although Suku had already said that the Holy Lord would most likely not succeed, as the Holy Lord's brother, Shimu still decided to go all out. What if the Holy Lord succeeds? Suku didn't say anything about this. He didn't bother to care anyway, so he simply let Shimu do what he did. At night, Suku roughly calculated the strength of Avengers and Holy Lord. I was speechless for a moment, because he suddenly discovered that the strength of the two sides seemed to be too unequal at the moment. According to known information, the team members on the Revenge Alliance side should be Captain Rogers, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Hulk, and Iron Man Tony Stark of the United States. As for Thor, he probably won't join the Avengers for the time being, because when he was in Hell, Jong-soo had already beaten Thor to the point of being autistic, and he probably wouldn't be able to come to Earth in a short time. And even if he wants to come, Odin may not let him come. But in this case, it seems that there are too few heroes on the Zenki side. After all, with the joining of Shindu and Shimu, the power of Black Aura has become much stronger, not to mention Loki and the Tauri army. Suk shook his head, always feeling that something was wrong, because according to the principle that righteousness and Black Aura need to be balanced, the current righteousness is really too weak. Logically, there should be one more hero to maintain the balance between righteousness and Black Aura. But this hero, who on earth is it? Suka thought about it for a long time, but he still couldn't think of it, so he simply stopped thinking about it. Anyway, he will be able to see him when the Battle of New York breaks out in a few days. What Suka didn't expect was that early the next morning, a car parked in front of his house. Moreover, a bald man stepped out of the car. This bald man was none other than Nick Fury. "Good morning, Dr. Sue." The moment he opened the door, Nick greeted him warmly. But the moment he saw Nick, Suku was speechless for a moment, because without even thinking, he knew what Nick was here for. So Sukafu said unceremoniously, "Nick, if you're here to ask me to join the Avengers this time, then I advise you not to say anything, because I might be very angry, and the consequences of my anger will be serious. Believe me, you definitely don't want to see me angry." When he heard this, Nick was instantly shocked, because he suddenly thought of those Hydra agents killed by Suku. The horrific scene at that time is still in his memory for a long time. But soon Nick reacted. After calming down a little, he said, "Don't worry, it's not this. You have already rejected this matter before, so I won't mention it again. I came to you this time for other reasons. Haven't the Avengers just been established? Those guys are not very coordinated, so I hope you can coordinate. As a psychiatrist, this should also be your job scope, right? Coordination?" When Suku heard this, he was speechless for a moment, because he knows that Nick's so-called coordination is actually no different from joining. Just when he was about to reject Nick and tell this guy to get out of here, he suddenly thought of something else. Then, Sook looked at Nick and asked, "By the way, are Dad and the others here too?" "Definitely. Dad has been at SHILD lately." Although Nick didn't know why Sook mentioned his father, he nodded. Then he said with a mysterious face, "Maybe you don't know yet? We have another secret weapon against demons." The secret weapon against demons? When Suko heard this, he became more energetic and asked quickly, "What's going on?" Definitely at this time, Tongko opened his mouth and said, "I can't explain this matter clearly in one sentence or two. Why don't you get in the car with me, and I'll explain it to you slowly on the road." Seeing Nick like this, Sook really wanted to get the information he wanted directly from his head. But after thinking about it, he finally gave up the idea and followed Nick into the car. Immediately afterwards, the car started driving to S.H.I.E.L.D. Then, Nick began to explain to Sook what the secret weapon was to deal with demons. To put it simply, this so-called secret weapon is actually a person, and he's a new Avenger joining the Avengers. And this person is someone Suko has never thought of before. So who is this person? His name is Chunlong. That's right, it's Chunlong from the Adventures of Chunlong. Although Sook has accepted that this world is a big integrated world, so strange things will happen. But when he heard that Chunlong actually joined the Avengers, Suko still couldn't accept it for a while. After all, Chunlong is just an ordinary person. How can he be qualified to join the Avengers? In Suko's opinion, this matter is really ridiculous. But obviously, this matter is not that simple. Then, with Nick's explanation, Sook finally understood what was going on. A few days ago, Chunlong accidentally discovered a god's ruins and a god's armor there. Chunlong brought the god armor back to SHIELD and then studied it with his father. During the research process, they made an unexpected discovery. The armor of gods actually contains unexplainable power. In an accident, the remaining deity's power on the god's armor suddenly entered Chunlong's body. Then, Chunlong awakened the unexplained power of Death God. Not only does he have Superman-like strength and speed, he can even fly. Likewise, he can also use powerful magic attacks. It's like it's really unexplainable. Chapter 95. No Death God Ming Lu Dongbin? The Lord is in trouble. In the adventures of Chunlong, the 8 unknown death gods represent the 8 immortals in ancient China. Thousands of years ago, in order to protect the world from being ruled by demons, they subdued the 8 demons, including Curselon. Among them, Xingu, one of the 8 unknown death gods, used a lotus bag to subdue Julan, the leader of the 8 evils. Zhang Wolao subdued Bogang with a drum. Han Zhongli subdued Xiaofeng with a paper fan. Uncle Chao Gui used Allegro to surrender the Chinese Soviet Union. Tai Guili subdued Basha with a gourd. Lu Dongbin used the divine sword to subdue the Holy Lord. Lan Caihe subdued Dikue with flowers. Han Xiangzi used the flute to subdue Shimu. Since then, the 8 demons have been sealed in hell forever, enduring endless pain. Definitely, the old man like the Holy Lord does not count, because the Holy Lord did not stay in hell for even a few days. As an insidious and cunning demon, the Holy Lord used lies to easily deceive his 7 brothers and sisters, then used their magic to escape hell. After returning to the human world, the Holy Lord forgot his previous promise and ruled the human world alone for thousands of years. Then everyone knew that the Holy Lord finally suffered his retribution. He was defeated and sealed by the great human magician Lope, and even deprived of the power of the 12 talismans. After coming back from the memories, Suko was speechless for a moment. It was already awkward for Chunlong to join the Avengers, but he didn't expect that he would actually awakening unexplained powers? Not Death God Ming and Avengers. Putting these two together is really a special show, but thinking about it carefully, Suko suddenly felt that this seemed normal. After all, he originally thought that without Thor's participation, the black aura and righteousness of this world were no longer balanced. As a result, with Chunlong awakening's unexplained power, The world's righteousness and black aura seem to have regained balance. In other words, the reason why Qianlong awakened the power of Death God was entirely due to the need for balance between righteousness and black aura. Thinking of this, Li Ke was immediately relieved. At the same time, Suke suddenly became interested. Because he was very curious, which mysterious power did Qianlong obtain? If it belonged to immortal He Xinggu, the undead god who sealed him back then Suke would kill Qianlong directly after meeting him. Because until now, Suke still resents the unforeseen death god that sealed him back then. Definitely, if it is the secret of sealing other demons, then he will not care. Just when Suke was thinking about it, Nick suddenly asked, I said, are you really not going to do something? After all, what we have to face next is the devil. We urgently need all the power, especially your power. Suke came back to his senses, looked at Nick, and then said calmly, please, I'm just a psychiatrist. If you need treatment for mental illness, you can come to me. But forget about saving the world. I have no interest in it. Just kidding. You have to know that you are a demon. And he is also the boss of demons. He really has no interest in saving the world or anything. After all, it's good enough if you don't kill anyone. Seeing this, Chun-Ku then smiled bitterly and shook his head. There is really nothing he can do for a stubborn person like Suke. But in Nick's opinion, this is actually not a big problem, as long as Suke doesn't want to destroy the world. Poor Nick, if he knew that Suke in front of him destroyed half of Asgard just yesterday. I wonder what his expression will be. Suddenly at this moment, Suke thought of something, then looked at Nick and asked, by the way, you told me before that you wanted me to coordinate the conflicts between the Avengers. What did you mean? Does anyone disagree with Qianlong joining the Avengers? At first, Suke thought Nick just wanted to trick him into going to SHIELD, so he found some excuse to reconcile the conflict. But now that I think about it, it seems that this is really possible. After all, Avengers and Qianlong originally belonged to two completely different worlds. If some of them disagree with Qianlong joining the Avengers, it seems reasonable. But obviously, Suke guessed wrong. The next second, Nick shook his head and said, you misunderstood. It's not that some people don't agree with Qianlong joining the Avengers, but that some people don't agree with Banner joining the Avengers. All right, although he guessed wrong, Suke didn't care. And when he heard Banner's name again, Suke suddenly remembered the time when Hulk was beaten wildly by the Quirk in Hell. Then, he looked at Nick and asked, what's going on? You must know that in the Marvel Universe, Hulk is absolutely responsible for his strength, but some people actually disagreed with his joining. This is a bit outrageous. Nick continued, isn't it because of the incident where Hulk caused a scene in New York City? Because of this incident, other people think Hulk is a time bomb, so they don't want Hulk to join. Even Dr. Banner himself is unwilling to join the Avengers because he thinks he is a bomb. So that's it. When Suke heard this, he nodded thoughtfully. The next second, he suddenly thought of something again, and then continued to ask, since many people don't agree with Banner joining the Avengers, what about Qianlong? Does everyone else agree that Qianlong will join the Avengers? Compared to Hulk, Suke is more concerned about Qianlong joining the Avengers. After all, this was too much of a drama for him, so he eagerly wanted to know the result. However, when he heard this, Nick kept his head in silence with a guilty look on his face. Then he said, is this... Actually, I haven't told the other Avengers members yet that Qianlong will join them. But I do plan to tell them the news today, so today can be considered a welcome ceremony. Welcome Qianlong to officially join Avengers. Suke was speechless and didn't know what to say for a moment. But in the next second, he suddenly thought of something again, then looked at Nick and said, wait, you didn't tell Qianlong that you wanted him to join the Avengers, right? When Nick heard this, he was instantly stunned. He looked at Suke in disbelief and said, how do you know? How I told you about this? Damn it. When he heard this, Suke's heart suddenly felt like 10,000 grass and mud horses galloping past. If it weren't for Nick being needed for the next thing, he would really want to slap this guy to death. After working on it for a long time, Nick didn't tell the other Avengers that Qianlong was joining the Avengers. He also didn't tell Qianlong that he wanted Qianlong to join the Avengers. What the hell is going on? After working together for a long time, Nick did nothing at all. Everything is just an idea of his. This is too outrageous. As for why Su-Ku has such doubts, it's entirely because he knows what kind of person Chun-Long is in the adventures of Chun-Long. Chun-Long is an archaeologist and an explorer. His favorite thing to do is visit all the monuments and find artifacts, not be a member of an organization. Just like in the adventures of Chun-Long, Blake, the boss of District 13, invited Chun-Long to join District 13 more than once. But Chun-Long rejected them all. Even if Chun-Long ends up helping District 13, it will only be as a friend. In this case, why would Chun-Long join the Avengers? This is crazy. The next second, something was wrong with the way Ink looked at Nick. Seeing Su-Ku's eyes, Nick panicked instantly, because he is afraid that his fate will be the same as those Hydra agents who died before. So, he hurriedly explained, Don't be angry. I just asked you to come over because I was afraid that something would happen then. As a psychiatrist, I need you to help me coordinate the relationship between them and let Banner and Chun-Long join the Avengers. Damn it. So this is the coordination you were talking about? Suk was completely drunk. I'm sorry. This guy Nick has been making trouble for a long time because he wants to coordinate Banner and Chun-Long into a revenge alliance. Is this what a psychiatrist should do? If he didn't want to confirm which unknown power Chun-Long had obtained, Su-Ku would really want to leave now. He really doesn't want to deal with these nonsense. Forget it. I'll let you go this time. But I warn you, there will be no next time for this kind of thing. If you hide anything from me next time, then I will blow your brains out. Su-Ku said calmly that in order to see Chun-Long, he was too lazy to argue with Nick about this matter. Nick first touched his bald head with lingering fear, and then he breathed a sigh of relief. The next second, he hurriedly assured, Don't worry. I promise there won't be a next time. A few minutes later, Suk and Nick arrived at SHIELD. But what is different from before is that at the moment, SHIELD has already launched the space carrier plan. Even headquarters was moved to the space carrier. Seeing the guy in front of him, who could only be seen on TV, Suku smiled slightly in his heart. This is a bit like the world of American comics. At the same time, Suk discovered that SHIELD's security had been improved again. Everyone around is an agent of SHIELD. It seems that Nick has indeed been busy dealing with Hydra recently. But unfortunately, he still couldn't completely eliminate HYDRA because he has absolutely no idea that his boss, Pierce Alexander, is actually a HYDRA. Definitely. This has nothing to do with Su-Ku, and Su-Ku doesn't care. The only thing he cares about is Chun-Long, who just awakened the unknown power. When Nick and Su-Ku arrived at the SHIELD conference room, they found that at the moment, many people had gathered in the conference room. Zero, please give me flowers. There's Captain America Stephen Rogers, Iron Man Tony Stark, Hulk Bruce Banner, Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff, and Hawkeye. Definitely Dad's group too, and that includes Xiaoyu. But at the moment, Dad and the three of them were a little confused. It was obvious that they had no idea why Nick would ask them to attend such a meeting. Just one glance, Suk always felt like he was in a drama. After all, these two teams are so incompatible. But he didn't say anything. And when he appeared here, Ben and Tony instantly stood up and greeted him. Welcome, Diarno. Hello, Dr. Su. Banner said hello because Su could help solve the crisis caused by Hulk before. So Banner is very grateful. The reason why Tony said hello was naturally because of the power of the space gem that Suka had shown before. Tony is very curious about this power and even wants to study it. But it was obvious that Suka didn't bother to talk to him at all. Definitely, Suka also saw something. That is, Banner is indeed excluded by others. When everyone here looks at Banner, something is a little abnormal. But this is actually to be expected. After all, Hulk caused too much damage in New York City before, and he also killed many humans. This has all been reported in the news, although SHIELD spent a lot of effort to suppress this matter. But people here still think Hulk is a time bomb. Maybe when encountering enemies, Hulk will attack them instead, which would be a bit of a waste. Nick naturally thought of this, but there was nothing he could do, because in his opinion, the Avengers really need someone to take on the role of strength. And Hulk is the best power player. Poor Nick, he probably would never have thought that the Avengers should have two powers. One is Hulk, and the other is Thor. But with everything Suku has done in Asgard, Thor probably won't join the Avengers for the time being. But it was obvious that Suk didn't care about this kind of thing at all. He casually found a seat and sat down. The next second, Suku suddenly made eye contact with Natasha Romanoff, but the two said nothing. Then, seeing everyone arrived, Nick looked at everyone and said, "Now that everyone is here, let's start today's meeting." As we all know, after the last appearance of the Holy Lord, we were aware of the destruction caused by the devil. But I want to tell you, that is just the beginning. Because according to what Dad said before, we know that the Holy Lord has 7 more brothers and sisters. And the ultimate goal of these demons is to rule the world. So what we have to do is stop them. We have to form an organization, and everyone knows about this organization before. It is the Avengers, an organization that brings together the most powerful heroes on Earth. What Nick said above was impassioned, but Suka had a face full of pain. Because in the Marvel world, the main reason why the Avengers were established was because Loki led the Chitauri to attack the Earth. In other words, the original intention of the Avengers was actually because of Loki. But what now? The reason why Avengers was founded is because of the Holy Lord. This damn thing is too much. The Holy Lord in Chun-Long's adventures actually became the key to the establishment of Avengers in the Marvel world. No matter how you think about it, this is a bit too much and outrageous. 0128043309 Felu 131313291. Suk shook his head and stopped thinking about it. Then, he suddenly looked at Chun-Long. This is the purpose of his coming here today. Sure enough, with just one glance, Suku noticed the mysterious power of Chun-Long. And this force is actually very powerful. There's almost no difference from Death God. This is really not a good thing for the demons. This is only a good thing for Suku, because Suku has noticed something that is the mysterious power in Chun-Long. It does not belong to He Shingu, who once sealed her, but it belongs to Lu Dongbin, who once sealed the Holy Lord now. The Holy Lord may be in trouble, but fortunately, Chun-Long should not have completely mastered the power of Death God yet. So the Holy Lord may not be Chun-Long's opponent by then. Definitely, we can only wait until the Battle of New York to see how it goes. And at this moment, the meeting finally entered its theme. Nick has already mentioned the first question too. That's about whether Banner wants to join the Avengers. As soon as this question came out, everyone's faces looked a little ugly. Rustic. Chapter 96, Why is Hulk so good? Because he was defeated by D. Kuei. Tony was the first to stand up and object. I admit that Hulk does have great power, but everyone knows that Hulk is uncontrollable. I won't talk about the damage he caused in New York before, but what if Hulk loses control again when we are dealing with the Holy Lord? When the time comes, will we deal with the Holy Lord or the Hulk? So, I don't agree with Banner joining the Avengers. Having said that, Tony saw Banner again. Sorry, Dr. Banner, I'm not targeting you. I'm just targeting the guy in your body. I see. Faced with Tony's objection, Banner didn't care at all. Because to be honest, he actually has the same opinion as Tony. He doesn't want to join the Avengers either. For him, the best way is to find a place to lock him up. Because of what happened before, he was afraid that Hulk would come out again and hurt others. Natasha Romanoff and Hawkeye both agreed. But when it came to Rogers disagreed. Rogers stood up and looked at everyone and said, "Although I have never fought against a demon, I have watched some previous videos. To be honest, the devil is far more powerful than we imagined. So if we want to defeat the devil, then we need all the power, definitely including Hulk's power. Yes, Hulk did make some mistakes before, but we can't exclude Hulk because of these mistakes. I believe Dr. Banner can control Hulk." When he heard this, Banner was speechless for a moment, because he felt that Rogers thought too highly of himself, and he had no confidence that he could control Hulk. Although Rogers stood up to support Hulk, others still maintained a rejection attitude, because they don't need a teammate who is like a timed 860 bomb. Seeing everyone's attitude, Nick instantly felt a pain in his balls. How could he not know that Hulk is uncontrollable. But he always felt that Hulk would play a very important role at critical moments. So he thought about letting Hulk join the Avengers. The results of it? Everyone except Rogers actually disagreed, which really made him don't know what to do. But then, he suddenly thought of something again. Then he saw Sook, who was distracted. The next second, Nick's heart moved. "What? Dr. Sue, do you have anything to say?" Nick looked at Sook and asked. Suka was slightly startled when he heard this. "I mean your sister. Why are you calling labor and management at this time?" "I have nothing to say. However, it is obvious that Kud does not intend to let the scholars go." He continued, "Have you not done psychological counseling for Banner before? Do you think Banner can control Hulk?" When he heard this, Suka suddenly became a little drunk. Does psychological counseling have anything to do with whether Banner can control Hulk? However, as Nick spoke, everyone looked at Sook. Even Banner looked at Suku expectantly. This made Suku even more speechless. At the moment, Suku really regretted coming. If it weren't for the balance between righteousness and black aura in this world, he would really want to kill everyone here. Then, after calming down a little, Ink stood up. Then he said calmly, "Based on the previous psychological treatment, I think Banner should be able to control Hulk." What? When they heard this, everyone was confused. Obviously, they didn't expect that Ink would say such a thing. Banner had a look of anticipation and excitement on his face, even though he didn't want to join any Avengers. But if he could control Hulk, he would also want to do something for the world. After all, Hulk has always been a monster, a violent and terrifying monster. And he really doesn't want Hulk to continue to be a monster. At the same time, Hoka couldn't help but give Suku a thumbs up in his heart. He felt that the reason why Suku said this was entirely to help him. But what Nick doesn't know is that Suku is actually telling the truth. Although the previous Hulk was indeed uncontrollable and even killed many humans. But after being beaten by the quirk, Suku clearly noticed that the Hulk in Banner's body had become much more stable. There is no longer the violent aura before. The previous journey to hell has worn away some of Hulk's own violent aura, giving Hulk a trace of human thinking. Or to put it more simply, Hulk was defeated by the boss. Although no one here can feel it, not even Banner, this special change cannot be hidden from Suku's feeling. The current Hulk should be similar to the Hulk after Avengers Alliance 1. At this time, Hulk can already be controlled by Banner and will not lose control easily. However, Nick didn't realize this. He looked at everyone with a smile and said, "Everyone knows Dr. Sue, right? He is the best psychiatrist in the United States. With his guarantee, no one will doubt that Banner can't control Hulk anymore, right?" Everyone was silent when they heard this. It's obvious that most people here know about Suku. At the same time, we also know that Suku saved the United States Captain Rogers and Banner. But then, Tony still said with some disbelief, "You have to know that what we have to deal with this time is a demon. We can't just rely on Dr. Sue's words to decide this matter, right? Why is this guy here again?" Nick's face hurts. Just when he was about to say something more, Suku suddenly spoke again. "This matter really cannot be decided so hastily." When Nick heard this, he was instantly speechless. My heart said, "Did you make a mistake? Shouldn't you be on my side?" However, before Nick could speak, he suddenly saw Suku walking up to him and smiling at him. It was this smile that instantly made Nick detect a hint of danger. Sure enough, in the next second, Suku pulled out the pistol from Nick's waist and pulled the trigger on Banner. Damn it! When they saw this scene, everyone present was immediately frightened. Nick was even more frightened and stunned. He subconsciously wanted to stop Suku from shooting, but it was too late. Boom! Accompanied by a burst of gunfire, a bullet snaked towards the confused Banner. At this moment, no miracle happened. The bullet hit Banner directly. Roar! Immediately afterwards, there was a roar. Banner's body began to rapidly grow in size and green, until he completely turned into a Hulk. The moment they saw this scene, everyone secretly said, "Oh no." At the same time, they responded quickly. Hawkeye took out his bow and arrow and prepared to attack Hulk. Rogers holds a shield to prevent Hulk from going rampage. Tony was rolling around and ready to rush outside to put on the spell armor. The mysterious power in Chun-Long's body also exploded instantly, and he hurriedly protected his father and Xiaoyu behind him. In short, everyone is waiting for Hulk's outbreak. Definitely, the only one who is calm is Su-Ku. Su-Ku ignored the nervous people and came straight to Hulk and said, "Banner, do you want me to talk?" Hulk seemed a little confused at first, but then Hulk slowly uttered a few words. "Hulk, you can hear me. What's the situation?" When he saw this scene, Nick, who had been so frightened that he fell to the ground, quickly got up. Then he looked at Hulk with a look of disbelief. He suddenly realized something was wrong. That is, although Banner turned into Hulk, he did not wreak havoc in the first place. Instead, he looked at everything around him in confusion, and even spoke under Su-Ku's guidance. In the past, Hulk could never speak, and because of this, everyone thought Hulk was a mindless monster, but now it seems that the important things seem to be more important then. At the same time, Tony, who was about to rush out and put on the spell armor, was also stunned. He also noticed changes in Hulk. Compared with the previous Hulk, the current Hulk seems to have become much more rational. At least he did not attack the people around him immediately after transforming. Others were also surprised. It was obvious that Hulk's change made everyone feel incredible. But then, something even more incredible happened for them. I saw Suka continue to say, "Hulk squat." The next second, Hulk was squatting on the ground. Everyone present was frightened. Is this still Hulk? It's like training a dog. In fact, what everyone doesn't know is that the reason why Hulk reacted this way was just because he sensed the devil's aura from Su-Ku. Because of his previous experience in hell, Hulk already had a deep fear of demons. Even though Su-Ku was not the leader who defeated him, he still felt fear. Definitely, there's also Banner's reason for this, because at this moment, Banner is also affecting Hulk's behavior. Boom! Suddenly at this moment, the door was slammed open. Then dozens of SHIELD agents with weapons rushed in. Obviously, they noticed the noise just now, and such a move instantly made Hulk a little nervous. Seeing this, Nick quickly yelled, "Get out! No one is allowed in without my order." When the agents heard this, they looked at Hulk, who was not far away, and then retreated with confused expressions. Immediately afterwards, Nick came to Su-Ku's side cautiously, and then asked in a low voice, "Suk, what's going on? Why is Hulk like this?" Suka said calmly, "What else can happen? I didn't just say that just to agree with you. Now Banner can indeed control Hulk. Damn it, so powerful?" When Nick heard this, his heart suddenly felt ecstatic, because in this case, his biggest worry is gone. Then, seeing everyone still looking nervous, Nick hurriedly said to Su-Ku, "Is there any way you can turn Hulk back into Banner? After all, everyone is scared of him like this." Suk glanced at Nick speechlessly and then came to Hulk's side. "Hulk, please change back." At the same time, an unnoticed black aura floated out of Suk's body and then slowly sank into Hulk's body. But don't get me wrong, Suk is not trying to control Hulk, but simply wants to help Banner control Hulk better. Sure enough, the next second, Hulk's body shrank at a speed visible to the naked eye until he turned into a banner. At this moment, all the clothes on Banner's body have exploded, leaving only one section of his body. Despite this, Banner looked excited. You must know that when he transformed into Hulk, Banner had no memory of Hulk at all, let alone controlled Hulk. This means that when he becomes Hulk, another consciousness is completely controlling this body. But this time it was obviously different. When he transformed into Hulk, he actually had Hulk's previous memories, and the few words he just answered to Su-Ku were also spoken by him and Hulk together. In other words, he can actually control Hulk. And this also gave him a new direction. That is, maybe he no longer needs to be afraid of Hulk in the future, but should try to have a relationship with Hulk. When he looked at Su-Ku again, Banner's eyes were filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Dr. Su. I really didn't expect that I could control Hulk. Thank you so much," Banner said with a grateful expression. From now on, he is finally no longer a monster. At the same time, Nick quickly took off his coat and put it on Banner, and then helped Banner sit down. Immediately afterwards, everyone else returned to their original positions. Ever since, the atmosphere that followed became a little weird. Especially those Avengers who were opposed to Banner joining the Avengers before, they don't know what to say now. Nick's eyes scanned everyone, and then he said, "So now, is there anyone who disagrees with Banner joining the Avengers?" This time, no one objected, because just now Banner has proven that he can indeed control Hulk, and with Hulk's power, he is definitely qualified to join the Avengers. For other members, as long as Hulk doesn't lose control, he is definitely the most powerful teammate. Even Tony, who had always been opposed before, had nothing to say, and Banner has acquiesced to these 4.7 things, because he also wants to do something for the world to make up for his previous mistakes. Seeing this, Nick immediately announced, "Okay, now I announce that Kat and I will join the Avengers." After saying this, Nick suddenly looked at Suku again. Then he complained in a low voice, "The next time you do something, can you say hello first? You almost scare me to death just now." Suka glanced at Nick and then asked, "If I told you ahead of time that I was going to force Hulk out at gunpoint, would you agree?" Forehead, when Nick heard this, he was speechless for a moment. Because to be honest, if Suka had told him before, he would never agree. But if he doesn't agree, then it doesn't prove that Banner can control the Hulk. In this case, there seems to be nothing wrong with Ink being so tender. "Hey, are you guys okay? If so, Daddy will leave." "I really don't understand. This is none of Dad's business. Why do you have to let Dad attend this meeting?" At this moment, an impatient voice suddenly sounded. "Take a closer look, and you will see that it is Dad." That's right. Dad finally couldn't bear it anymore. Dad was really confused because he didn't know what this meeting had to do with them. Upon hearing this, Nick quickly comforted his father and said, "Dad, don't be angry. I have something very important to announce, and this matter is related to you." "Is it related to us?" When Dad heard this, he immediately looked curious because he didn't understand what it meant. But at this moment, Xiaoyu suddenly blinked and then looked at Chunlong aside. For a moment, Xiaoyu had a bold idea in her mind. Chapter 97, Holy Lord. "Are you here specifically to attack me?" Then, Xiaoyu looked directly at Nick and asked, "Director Nick, are you trying to get Uncle Long to join the Avengers?" When Nick heard this, he laughed instantly. Then he praised, "Xiaoyu, you are right. I am just going to invite Chunlong to join the Avengers." What? When he heard this, Chunlong was speechless for a moment, because he never expected that Nick would actually invite him to join the Avengers. Even the dad on the side was a little confused. Only Xiaoyu looked excited, because in her opinion, it's really cool for Uncle Long to join the Avengers. Cough, cough, cough. At this moment, Nick coughed a few times, attracted everyone's attention, and then continued. "Everyone already knows about Dad. Dad knows how to deal with demons, and he's a powerful magician. Originally, I actually wanted Dad to join the Avengers, but considering that Dad is old and not suitable for fighting, so Dad, forget it, but Dad's nephew Chunlong is definitely qualified to join the Avengers. Because not long ago, Chunlong gained unexplainable power, and what he obtained was the mysterious power that defeated and sealed the Holy Lord. In other words, Chunlong is the only one who can compete with the Holy Lord. I think he can definitely join the Avengers with his power. What do you think?" After saying this, Nick looked at the people in front of him, waiting for their answers. The next second, Tony stood up. "I agree. I think he is fully qualified to join the Avengers," Tony said with a smile. When Hulk appeared before, Tony noticed the strange energy fluctuations on Chunlong's body. It's just that he didn't know what kind of power it was at the time. He only felt that this power was very powerful. But now he knows, it turns out that this is an unexplained power, and people with this kind of power are naturally qualified to join the Avengers. Immediately afterwards, other Avengers also expressed their approval. After all, Chunlong's power is indeed very suitable for dealing with demons, and they simply can't refuse Chunlong's joining. Seeing that everyone agreed that Chunlong would join the Avengers, Xiaoyu became even more excited. Immediately afterwards, Xiaoyu suddenly looked at Xiangku and said, "So can I join the Avengers too?" When Nick heard this, he smiled and said, "Xiaoyu, what we have to do next is to save the world, not play house, so I can only refuse you." When the people present heard this, they all laughed. It was obvious that they only regarded Xiaoyu as an ordinary little girl. But when Xiaoyu heard this, she looked unconvinced. She felt Nick look down on her. Seeing Xiaoyu's angry look, Suka only felt funny for a while. At the same time, He also thought that in the original plot of Chun Long's adventures, Xiaoyu was not only the reincarnation of a saint, but also the queen of the Black Shadow Corps. If you take any one of these two identities, they seem to be qualified to defeat the so-called Avengers, right? Nick, it seems you really made a mistake this time. For a moment, Suko was really curious. What would it be like for Xiaoyu to become the Queen of Shadows? Just when Suko was thinking about it, Nick's voice suddenly sounded again. So, Chun Long, are you willing to join the Avengers? Hearing Nick's voice, Ko immediately looked at Chun with interest, because he really wanted to know what choice Chun Long would make. At the moment, Chun Long also looked confused. To be fair, he knew that the Avengers were going to fight against the Holy Lord to save the world, and there was no way he could justify it if he didn't join. But having said that, he doesn't want to join any organization at all. He just wants to be a free person. After a while of hesitation, Chun Long could only look at his father. Dad, what should I do? Dad adjusted the glasses on the bridge of his nose and said, Dad knows that you don't like to join any organization, but this time is to save the world, so just agree to them. When Chun Long heard this, he no longer felt hesitation in his heart. After all, saving the world is obviously more important than freedom. Then, he looked at Nick and said, Okay, I promise you, I will join the Avengers, but I have a request. That means I will not obey anyone's orders except to fight against the devil. Hearing this, Nick showed no hesitation and readily agreed. At the moment, Nick was in a really good mood because he had accomplished two major things in just a short period of time. One is to let Hulk join the Avengers, and the other is to let Chun Long, who has the immortal deity's power, join the Avengers. Both of these things were accomplished so easily, which made Nick completely relieved. But at this moment, Rogers suddenly spoke. So where is the Holy Lord now? Or what conspiracy does the Holy Lord have? Well, Rogers now asked the key to the matter. After all, the original intention of the Avengers was to deal with the Holy Lord and save the world. But now it seems like they don't even know where the Holy Lord is, right? At the same time, I don't know what the Holy Lord's plan is. This seems a bit embarrassing. But when he heard this, Nick didn't panic. He looked directly at his father beside him and said, Dad, you should explain it to everyone. In Nick's opinion, when it comes to demons, the right person to talk to is his dad. When the father heard this, he did not refuse, and then walked up to the crowd and said, In recent times, my father has been observing the righteousness and black aura of this world. To put it simply, righteousness represents you superheroes, and black aura represents the devil. Not long ago, black aura suddenly became powerful, so Dad guessed that a new demon escaped from hell. It's also because of this that Chun Long gained inexplicable power. So what we have to deal with now may be two demons. Two demons? When everyone heard this, they were instantly confused. Dad continued, Do you still remember the special changes that occurred in the sky not long ago? Remember, Tony nodded and said, At that time, the entire New York City was shrouded in a red mist. I checked some information at that time, but found nothing. Dad glanced at Nick, then shook his head and said, You will definitely find nothing, because the red mist is not a natural phenomenon at all, but the work of the sky demon, Nishiki. Nishiki is the smallest demon among the 8 demons, ranking 8th among demons. He is the demon of the sky and has the ability to control the sky and change the weather. Although I don't know what method the Holy Lord used to rescue Shimu from hell. What we have to face is the fire demon and the demon. When everyone heard this, they felt helpless for a moment. Dealing with the Holy Lord was already troublesome enough, but I didn't expect that there would be another demon. In contrast, Suko was much calmer now, because he knew that Shimu's release from prison should not be hidden from his father. After all, Dad is also a powerful magician. It would be a little abnormal if he didn't even notice this. So Dad, do you know where the Holy Master and Shimu are now? Rogers asked. In Rogers' view, as long as they can find the location of Shengzhu and Shimu, they can rush there immediately and defeat Shengzhu and Shimu directly. Because if we keep waiting like this, who knows how long it will take. But when he heard this, the old minister shook his head. I don't know this either, but I always feel that the Holy Lord is planning something big. Because he met the Ancient One before, The Holy Master has been reviewing various magics recently. Then he used his magic to completely hide his location, so it was normal for Dad to not be able to find the Holy Master. You must know that in addition to being a demon, the Holy Lord is also a powerful magician. It is actually not too difficult for Shang Quan to prevent other magicians from finding him. However, when everyone heard this, they were somewhat disappointed because they felt that this was too passive. Seeing that morale was a little low, Nick quickly comforted everyone and said, "There's no need to be too anxious, because we have been monitoring every corner of the world recently. As soon as we find traces of the Holy Lord, we will immediately take action to stop the Holy Lord. We will not let the Holy Lord act recklessly in this world." Although Nick wanted to appease everyone, it was obvious that this did not appease everyone. Everyone's morale was still a little low. But Nick has no choice because this is the only thing he can do. At this point, the meeting is almost over. Everyone dispersed and began to prepare for the next thing. Sik also returned to his villa. After a brief hesitation, Suku finally decided to tell the Holy Lord that Chunlong had obtained the immortal deity's power. He wants the Holy Lord to prepare in advance. So, at night, Suk appeared again in the basement where the Holy Lord was. However, when he first appeared in the basement, he heard the extremely excited voice of the Holy Lord. "Haha, Wally, you did a good job. I'm very satisfied with you. Thank you, Holy Lord." Immediately afterwards, Wallen's voice also sounded. When he heard this conversation, Suku probably guessed what happened. Needless to say, it must be Valen and the others who have found another spell for the Holy Lord. Sure enough, when he looked carefully, Suku saw two talismans in Valen's hand, which were the snake talisman and the sheep talisman. "My dear brother, you are here." The moment he saw Suku, the Holy Lord greeted him warmly, and then reached out to take the two charms from Valen's hand. At the same time, Walong and the others also saw Suku, and then they greeted Suku respectfully. "Dear Lord Demon, I'm so happy to see you. Welcome. What an honor it is for us to meet you." Seeing the respectful expressions on Wallen's and others' faces, Suku felt funny in his heart. The next second, he threw another handful of diamonds. "Take it." Wallen immediately smiled with wide-eyed expression. "Thank you, Lord Demon." With a cry, Walong and the others hurriedly lay on the ground and picked up the diamond. The Holy Lord did not scold Walong this time, as he did before. He only waited for Walong and others to finish picking up the diamonds before saying, "Get down." As a result, Walong and his gang left in a hurry. For a time, only the Holy Lord and Suku were left here. The Holy Lord held the snake charm and the sheep charm in his hand. The next second, the snake talisman and the sheep talisman were instantly absorbed into his body. Feeling the power within the body, the Holy Lord felt extremely comfortable. So far, the Holy Lord has obtained 7 talismans. That is, the rat talisman, the chicken talisman, the dragon talisman, the horse talisman, the monkey talisman, the snake talisman, and the sheep talisman. Of the 5 remaining talismans, 3 of them are on Tony's talisman armor, namely the cow talisman, the pig talisman, and the dog talisman. There is also one in Shield, the tiger talisman. The only charm that hasn't appeared yet is the rabbit charm. I just don't know if this talisman will be obtained by the Holy Lord, or will it be obtained by Shield and the others. "My dear brother, why did you come to me today?" At this moment, the Holy Lord suddenly asked. The Holy Lord was still a little worried. He knew that Suku would never come to him if he was fine. Now that he's here, it means there must be something big going on. Suku came back to his senses, then looked at the Holy Lord and said, 100, I do have 2 things to tell you, but you'd better not get too excited. Well, don't get too excited? When the Holy Lord heard this, he immediately smiled and said, "My dear brother, is there anything in this world that could excite me now? After all, we are going to rule the world tonight." Hearing this, Suku was speechless again. This TMD hasn't started yet. Do you just want to rule the world after victory? Although he felt helpless, Suku still said, to put it simply, Chunlong awakened the power of Bu Death God, and the Bu Death God he awakened is the Bu Death God Ming Lu Dongbin who once sealed you. What? The moment he heard these words, the anger in the Holy Lord instantly surged to the extreme. I saw that the veins all over his body were swollen, and his eyes were about to spit out fire. No, death god. Damn it. It's these guys again. These guys sealed us thousands of years ago. How come they still exist in this world now? Damn it. The Holy Lord roared angrily, with anger on his face. You must know that death god Ming Lu Dongbin's power is almost as powerful as the Holy Lord. How could Fei not be angry? Seeing the appearance of the Holy Lord, Suku was not surprised at all, because the demons extremely hate the unknown death god who once sealed them, even him. So Holy Lord's reaction is actually quite normal. The Holy Lord's current reaction is really very different from what he said before. Are you not excited if you agree? Immediately afterwards, Suku continued, but you don't need to worry too much because he probably just gained this power not long ago and hasn't mastered it yet, so he may not be your opponent. When the Holy Master heard this, his expression softened slightly, because he knew that Suku was right. Even if Qianlong really obtained the power of undead god Minglu Dongbin, if he couldn't completely control it, then he didn't need to worry too much. However, before he could relax, Suku suddenly spoke again. By the way, Tony Stark used your spell to create a spell armor, probably specifically designed to deal with you. Suk said calmly. When the Holy Lord heard this, he was instantly speechless. He felt that Suku might have come specifically to attack him. Sighing helplessly in his heart, the Holy Lord continued, Then my dear brother, are you really not going to help us rule this world? Unexpectedly, it was a talisman armor again, and the Holy Master suddenly felt that he was under a lot of pressure. Suku glanced at the Holy Lord and then said, Who said I won't help? Didn't I say before that I would help you deal with the Ancient One? Do you think this matter is easy? How about we switch and you go deal with the Ancient One? When the Holy Lord heard this, he immediately had a wry smile on his face. He's dealing with a shitty Ancient One. If he had this ability, he would have died a long time ago. Chapter 98. Change the World Law. Shimu's Ancient Magic. But then, the Holy Lord still said, That's not what I meant. It's definitely up to you to deal with the Ancient One. But I want to know, after defeating the Ancient One, will you come and help us rule this world? Sure enough, it's this problem again. But Suku didn't want to answer this question, because unlike the Holy Lord, he had many things to consider. As a result, Suku completely ignored the question and just looked at the Holy Lord indifferently. Seeing this, the Holy Master obediently shut his mouth and stopped asking, because he knew that continuing to ask would only make Suku unhappy. At such a critical moment, he really couldn't offend Suku. By the way, how's it going with Loki? Suk asked again. The machine is almost finished. When it is completed, I will ship the machine to New York. I'm going to choose the most conspicuous place, and I'm going to conquer the world from there. As soon as this was mentioned, the Holy Master suddenly became interested again. The most conspicuous place? When Suka heard this, he became a little interested. He looked at the Holy Lord and asked, Where is this place you are talking about? The Holy Master smiled, then took a newspaper and handed it to Suku. Suka took the newspaper and read it, and was speechless for a moment, because what was shown on the newspaper was the Stark Tower. In other words, the Holy Master actually planned to put that machine on the roof of the Stark building. I have to say, this is really a bit of a coincidence, because the Holy Lord choice is exactly the same as Loki's choice. In Marvel's original plot, Loki also chose this place to launch the war. This is probably the fate between Loki and the Holy Lord, right? Okay, that's about it anyway. Just get ready. I'm leaving first, Suk said and was about to leave. Anyway, he has said everything he should say. The rest depends on what the Holy Master does. Wait, what did Shimu say? Seeing that Suku was about to leave, the Holy Master asked quickly. The Holy Lord already knows that what Suku wants to do is to deal with the possible Sorcerer Supreme Ancient One, but the Holy Lord really doesn't know what Shimu is going to do. Hearing this, Suku stopped again, then looked at Shang Shang and said, Don't worry, Shimu has been learning his old magic since he was released from prison. His magic has recovered a lot now, and he will definitely help you when the time comes. When the Holy Master heard this, he breathed a sigh of relief. Don't think that because Shimu is the smallest among the demons, he is the weakest. In fact, this is not the case. Inmu's magic is almost top-notch among demons. With the help of Suku and Shimu, the Holy Lord felt that he would win. Gone. At this moment, Suku's voice sounded again. When the Holy Lord looked over, he saw that one of Suku's feet had stepped into the portal. After returning to the villa, Ink called Shuda and Quicksilver over, then asked, "Are you interested in going somewhere else recently? Just treat it as a few days off for you." When Wanda and Quicksilver heard this, they looked curious because they didn't know why Sook said that. "What do you want to say in the end?" Wanda asked curiously. Suka rubbed his chin and said, "I have a premonition that a big disaster may happen in New York City recently. So, I want you to leave New York temporarily." "How about you?" Wanda continued to ask. She understands Suku's strength and knows that Suku is definitely not as simple as just talking. This means that New York City may really be facing a disaster. "I still have something to do here, and I can't leave for a while, so I won't leave." "Definitely, if you don't want to leave, it's okay, just stay at home. Besides, the hospital doesn't need to worry about it for the time being. I'll treat it as a holiday for you these days." Sook said, "Let Wanda and Quicksilver leave New York just to prevent them from being injured in the Battle of New York. But definitely, if they don't want to leave, that's okay. As long as they stay at home, it will be fine. Anyway, with Wanda's current strength, self-protection will definitely be no problem." Wanda and Quicksilver discussed it and finally decided to stay at home. Seeing this, Suka stopped saying anything. Next, Sook called Harley and Selena, who were far away in Gotham City, and told them not to come in New York City recently. Then I called Gwen and told her not to go out tomorrow. The three women received a call from Sook, somewhat inexplicably. But hearing that Suka's tone didn't sound like he was joking, he finally agreed. The next morning, the Holy Master received news that Loki's machine had been built and the Chitauri army could be summoned at any time. When the Holy Lord rushed over, he saw an extremely sophisticated machine. Loki explained to the Holy Lord, "As long as the space gem is placed on the instrument, you can open the cosmic wormhole and summon the Chitauri army. And when the machine is running, it will form an energy shield around it, which can block all attacks." The Holy Lord nodded happily, and then said, "Loki, you did a good job." For a moment, the Holy Lord forgot about the incident of being beheaded by Odin. "So, do you want to start now?" Loki asked again. He doesn't want the Holy Lord's praise at all. Now, he just wants to complete the task quickly and return to Asgard. But when he heard this, the Holy Lord shook his head. "No, I'm going to move this machine to New York City and start a war in New York City. I want everyone to see that I rule this world," the Holy Lord said with a ferocious smile. Loki was not surprised when he heard this, because if it were him, he would do the same. From his point of view, he is indeed very similar to the Holy Lord. 012804309 Felu 131323321. But having said that, moving this thing to New York City seems to be a troublesome thing. After all, SHIELD is not for nothing, and they might be discovered by SHIELD before they even get to New York City. Their plans may also be disrupted by then. Just as the Holy Master was thinking about what to do, a voice suddenly rang. "Looks like the plan is about to begin." The Holy Lord looked back and saw Suko. When the Holy Lord said that he would launch a war in New York City, Suko thought that transporting machines might be a problem. So he rushed over, ready to help the Holy Master. "My dear brother, how wonderful you are here." The Holy Lord was really happy to see Suko appear, and he probably guessed what Suka did. Loki's eyes were a little complicated when he saw Suko, but he still said respectfully, "Owner." Suka nodded casually, even as he said hello. Then he said, "Now that you're ready, let's get started." The next second, a portal appeared in front of everyone, and at the other end of the portal was the Stark building. "Thank you, my brother," the Holy Lord said excitedly. Immediately afterwards, a large group of shadow ninjas suddenly appeared and then carried the machine into the portal. Suku and others also walked in. When they passed through the portal, they arrived in New York City. Standing on the top of Star Tower, looking down at the entire city, the Holy Lord is really high-spirited at the moment. Tony has been at SHIELD in the past few days, so when they showed up here, Tony didn't know. Definitely, Even if the Holy Lord knows about it, he doesn't care. Immediately afterwards, the Holy Lord took the space gem from Loki, then walked to the middle of the machine and placed the space gem at the core of the machine. Dr. Eric turned on the machine with Dr. Eric beside him. The next second, a beam of light rushed into the sky. Not long after, a cosmic wormhole slowly opened in the sky. And at the moment when the cosmic wormhole appeared, Chitauri soldiers began to emerge from the cosmic wormhole one by one and appeared over New York City. Finally, the Battle of New York has officially begun. Meanwhile, in S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick also got the news immediately. Fortunately, all the Avengers were at S.H.I.E.L.D., so Nick immediately summoned them. Nick looked at everyone with a complicated expression and said, "Everyone, the situation seems to be more serious than we thought. I'm afraid what we are facing this time is not just as simple as two demons." What's the meaning? When everyone heard this, their expressions changed in vain. The two demons were already deadly enough. Is there anything more deadly? But then, Nick didn't say anything and started to bring up the screen. When seeing the scene in the picture, all the Avengers members were shocked at this moment. In the picture, a huge amounts of wormhole suddenly appeared in the sky, and some strange-looking aliens kept flying out of the wormhole. In addition, there is even a huge bug that looks like a battleship. When seeing this scene, everyone got high. Nick said with a serious look, "Although I don't know what all this is about, the Holy Lord seems to have summoned an alien army. So what we have to deal with now is not just demons, but also these summoned aliens." Alien? When Dad heard this, he was a little doubtful about life. When can the Holy Lord be able to summon alien armies? Isn't this a joke? Although Dad was in disbelief, the facts were right in front of him, and he had no choice but to believe it. Suddenly, at this moment, Tony realized something was wrong. "Wait, isn't this the rooftop of Stark Tower?" Tony said with a shocked look on his face. At the moment, the roof of the Stark building suddenly appeared on the screen, and on the roof, a group of people and a tall demon were standing. "It is the Holy Lord," Nick explained from the side. "It seems that the Holy Lord used the Stark building as the starting point to invade the Earth." Damn it. When Tony heard this, his whole body went numb. You know, that's his territory. The Holy Lord is too disrespectful to him by doing this. Then, without any hesitation, Tony walked out. "Where are you going?" Nick asked. "Where else to go? It's definitely to fight. The devil has appeared now. How long do we have to wait?" Tony said without looking back, and then strode towards his spell armor. But what's different from before is that at the moment, Tony's spell armor has been improved again. Originally, there were only 3 talismans on the talisman armor, but now there are 5 talismans. The extra talismans are the Tiger Talisman and the Rabbit Talisman. Apparently, S.H.I.E.L.D. got the last talisman and gave it to Tony along with the previous Tiger Talisman. Tony now has the power of 5 spells. After putting on the spell armor, Tony went straight to the Holy Lord. Watching Tony leave, Nick stopped talking nonsense. He looked at the people in front of him and said, "Then everyone, it's up to you to save the world." At this moment, without any nonsense, everyone got up and headed to the battlefield. The scene returned to Suko. After bringing the Holy Lord and others to the roof of Stark Tower. However, he did not go home, but stood on the roof of a building with Shimu and watched everything. Shimu looked at the cosmic wormhole not far away, which looked like dumplings, and then said with some curiosity, "I really don't know which guy the Holy Lord made a deal with, and he actually gave him such an army? Probably the same devil as us." Suk smiled and said. Although Suku's answer was somewhat unsatisfactory, Shimu didn't care. Immediately afterwards, Shimu's body suddenly changed and soon turned into a demon. Shimu looked at Suk and said, "Kyulin, then I'll go." "Go for it." Suka nodded. "I might have to wait a little longer." Shimu knew that Suk was guarding against a guy named Ancient One. Although he has never met the Ancient One, he learned from the Holy Lord that the Ancient One is a very powerful magician, and even beat the Lord without the ability to fight back. And this means that Suku will play a key role in this war. So Shimu said nothing, nodded, and flew into the air with his wings waving. After the flight reached a certain height, Shimu suddenly stopped in the air and then began to use his sky magic. For a time, Diki and Zhao, obscure ancient magic began to come out of Shimu's mouth. As Shimu cast his magic, endless red mist began to emit from Shimu, and then quickly spread to the sky above the entire New York City. And this red mist continued to spread, and soon spread to the entire world. If you look at it from space, you will find that at the moment, the entire Earth is covered by Shimu's magic. But Nishiki's magic is more than that. After Nishiki's magic covers the entire sky, it will also affect the righteousness and black aura within the coverage area. At this time, the power of black aura and righteousness is extremely chaotic and will not have any impact on the balance of this world, because Shimu's magic changed the laws of this world. This is Shimu's ancient magic. Almost instantly, Suk felt that his power had become much stronger. At the same time, he also felt that Shimu had changed the laws of this world. Shimu, you really impressed me," Suk said with a smile. At the moment, with the help of Shimu's opportunity to change the world law, Suku can release all the demons in hell, because at this moment, the law of the world has lost its restraint on the demons. No matter how much influence the demons have on this world, it doesn't matter. But Suku still has no intention of doing this, because he knows that Shimu's magic is not permanent. After the magic is lifted, the righteousness and black aura will still return to balance, and the demons will have to return to hell by then. But in this case, it would be really unfair to Basha and the others. Summon them to help when needed, and drive them back to hell when not needed. As the boss of the demons, Suku would not do this, and in his opinion, the current situation simply requires too many demons. Holy Lord, Shimu. That's enough. Chapter 99, Holy Lord. Isn't Death God clear? I'm going to kill you. On the rooftop of Stark Tower, the Holy Lord also noticed the changes in the sky. At the same time, he also felt that his power had been strengthened. Thank you, Shimu. My dear brother. The Holy Lord looked up at the red sky and laughed. Although he did not obtain all the 12 talismans, with the blessing of Shimu's magic, the owner of the house has recovered 90% of his power. Now he can finally summon his own demon dragon army. The next second, there was no more hesitation from the Holy Master. I saw him clenching his fist and punching forward violently. In an instant, the space in front of the Holy Lord split open, and then a gate of hell suddenly appeared in front of the Holy Lord. However, this hell is not the hell where the demons live, but the hell where the Holy Lord uses to support his demon dragon army. It's just that the Holy Lord was too weak before, so he couldn't open the door to hell. But with the power brought by Shimu's spell, the Holy Lord can finally open the door to hell. The roar. Not long after, bursts of roaring sounds suddenly came from hell. Immediately afterwards, demon dragons with huge amounts of size scrambled out of hell and rushed towards New York City. When he saw this scene, Loki couldn't help but take a few steps back and then swallowed nervously. He was really glad that he didn't go against the demons in the first place. Now, he just wants to return to Asgard after finishing this matter. He really doesn't want to stay in this hellish place like Earth. Go, destroy the world to your heart's content. Let the world know what real fear is. Just when Loki was thinking about it, the Holy Lord's voice sounded again. Immediately afterwards, more demon dragons flew out of hell, and then joined forces with those terrorists to launch an attack on the entire New York. In order to avoid accidental injury, Loki immediately told the leader of the Chitauri army about the demon dragon. So when the Chitauri soldiers saw the demon dragon, they did not attack. Similarly, because the Holy Lord can completely control the demon dragon army, the demon dragon did not attack the Chitauri soldiers. In this way, the demon dragon army and Chitauri soldiers began to cooperate to destroy the entire city. The Holy Lord looked at the city with a ferocious smile, and his heart was filled with a sense of accomplishment. When the Avengers appeared here, they were instantly shocked by what they saw in front of them. At the moment, the sky was shrouded in a thick red fog. A depressing atmosphere spread instantly, making people feel fear involuntarily. Countless people kept making miserable cries and calls for help, 133, making the whole city in chaos, as if the end was coming. In fact, it is indeed the end, because at this moment, there are dragons flying in the sky and Chitauri soldiers everywhere on the ground, destroying everything unscrupulously. In this situation, if this is not hell, then where is it? Roar! Suddenly at this moment, the sound of the sun came. The next second, a big green man suddenly jumped up and rushed directly towards a huge amount of demon dragon. If not Hulk, who is it? After seeing that the entire city had been destroyed like this, Banner couldn't control the anger in his heart, and then he turned into Hulk. When seeing this scene, the other Avengers also breathed a sigh of relief, because Hulk did not attack them this time, but attacked the enemy. It seems that what Suku said before is right. Banner can indeed control Hulk. Now, they finally don't have to worry about being backstabbed by Hulk. At the same time, Hulk was already fighting with the demon dragon. The demon dragon stretched out its claws and wanted to tear Hulk apart, but Hulk's skin was very durable. So how could the demon dragon tear it apart? The demon dragon breathed out another stream of flames, trying to burn Hulk to death, but it still had no effect on Hulk. Instead, Hulkingshing broke a dragon horn. In just 1 minute, Hulk killed a demon dragon. Definitely, this is of no use in the current situation because the Holy Lord has too many demon dragons. At this moment, Hawkeye, Black Widow, and Captain America also hurriedly joined the battle. But with their strength, they really can't fight the Holy Lord's demon dragon. After all, they're only mortals, so they could only help rescue the trapped people while launching an attack on the Chitauri soldiers flying past them. To put it bluntly, the main players in this battle are Chun-Long, who has gained the unexplained power of Death God, and Tony and Hulk, who are wearing spell armor. Others can only make soy sauce. And Hulk didn't dare to fight the Holy Lord in Western magic because his body was torn to pieces by D. Kuei in hell. He can only choose to fight those demon dragons in Chitauri. Just as the fight here was in full swing, Tony finally appeared on the roof of Stark Tower. Without any hesitation, Tony launched 10 missiles in an instant. And the target is directly at that machine, because Tony knows that that machine is the key to opening the wormhole in the universe. As long as that machine is destroyed, the wormhole in the universe can be closed. Boom, 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 boom. Immediately afterwards, there was a violent explosion. But what happened next made Nick frown, because there seemed to be a protective shield around the machine, which completely blocked his attack. Then, just as Tony was about to use the pig spell's ability to attack again, a figure of huge amounts suddenly appeared in front of him. Damn human, give me back my charm. Hearing this voice, Tony immediately knew who it was. Immediately afterwards, he turned around 10 times without any hesitation. Then a hot ray shot out from his eyes, aiming directly at the Holy Lord. With the blessing of the rabbit charm, Tony's speed was extremely fast, even in the air, but the Holy Master didn't react for a moment and was actually beaten hard. The hot light instantly left a horrific wound on the Holy Lord's head. However, this did not cause any harm to the Holy Lord, because under the influence of the horse talisman, Quan's wounds healed instantly. Although there was no injury, the insult from this blow was too strong. After all, the pig talisman is his own thing. As a result, a human actually used it to attack me. This is so unbearable. Damn it, I must kill you. I will cut you into pieces. The Holy Lord roared angrily. The next second, the Holy Lord opened his mouth and spit out a stream of hot dragon flames. Tony didn't dare to bear it and hurriedly hid aside. Then another heat vision came out, but this time he was avoided by the Holy Lord. The Holy Lord smiled ferociously and said, "Damn human being, you think I will be attacked in the same way." Just as he was speaking halfway, a figure suddenly bumped into him, knocking the Holy Lord away. Immediately afterwards, the Holy Lord snaked out like a cannonball. The person who bumped into the Holy Lord was none other than Chun-Long from Awakening Deity's power. But at the moment, Chun-Long is no longer what he was before. I saw that his whole body was covered with blue energy, and this blue energy formed an invisible armor around him. It is an inexplicable power. Looking at Chunlong in front of him, Tony looked surprised, because he knew how powerful Chunlong's blow just now was. Even if he gained the power of the Ox Talisman, he would still be completely inferior to Chunlong. Sure enough, the power of Death God is really great. Just when Tony felt something in his heart, Chunlong suddenly spoke. Tony, leave the Holy Lord to me, because the power I obtained is the same unknown Death God, Lu Dongbin, who sealed the Holy Lord back then. So I have a natural advantage against the Holy Lord. You'd better deal with the Sky Demon. His speed is so fast that I can't catch up with him. But you should be able to. In fact, Chunlong did not come to the Holy Lord from the beginning. Because he knew that Tony had come to see the Holy Lord, he went directly to Shimu. However, after the battle, Chunlong was very frustrated to find that Shimu's speed was too fast. Even if he gained inexplicable power, he still couldn't even catch Shimu's tail. In desperation, he could only rush over and plan to change opponents with Tony. Tony naturally has no objection to this, because he knows that this is indeed the best choice. Then be careful. I'm leaving. After saying hello to Chunlong, Tony immediately locked the direction of Shimu and flew over. And the moment Tony left, a figure rushed into the sky again. It is the Holy Lord. But when he looked at Chunlong, the Holy Master's eyes almost burst into flames, because, in his opinion, the Chunlong in front of him was almost exactly the same as the undead God Minglu Dongbin who sealed him back then. This caused a surge of overwhelming anger in the Holy Lord's heart. Chunlong, I'm going to kill you. The Holy Lord roared angrily and then moved towards the past. The scene came to Tony's side. Because his father had applied a lot of righteousness magic to the spell armor before, Tony easily locked onto Shimu's position. Not long after, Tony saw Shimu. I saw that the so-called Sky Demon was actually a monster with wings that looked like a bat. Is this thing the Sky Demon? It's obviously an oversized bat. Tony thought with disdain. He didn't take Shimu seriously at all. In his opinion, with the spell armor, he would be able to defeat Shimu easily. However, at this moment, Shishu also discovered Tony. Immediately afterwards, without any hesitation, Shimu instantly waved his wings and launched an attack on Tony from a distance. The next second, invisible wind blades suddenly attacked Tony. What the hell? Tony instantly realized something was wrong and hurriedly hid aside. Immediately afterwards, the building in the area where he was before was directly hit by invisible winds. The blade was cut in half. Now, Tony finally became serious. He felt that he had underestimated Shimu. Damn human. How dare you underestimate me? At this moment, Shimu suddenly spoke. His tone was extremely cold. Although Tony didn't speak as a devil, Shimu still sensed Tony's emotions. Seeing this, Tony stopped pretending. I saw him saying calmly, Demon, this world is not a place where you can be arrogant. I think you should go back to hell. If you're unwilling to go back, then I will have to send you back in person. Shimu was not angry when he heard this. He just sneered and said, if you have the ability, just try it. Immediately afterwards, Shiha began to recite an ancient spell again. A black aura appeared from him, and then flew into the red mist above. The next second, the surrounding red mist changed instantly. Boom, boom. Bursts of muffled thunder suddenly sounded from above. When Tony looked up, he saw thunderclouds suddenly rolling overhead like thunder. Click! Immediately afterwards, thunder and lightning struck Tony fiercely. And it is obvious that this is not ordinary lightning, but a thunderstorm. Thunderstorms covering the entire area. What the hell is this? This demon can actually cause thunderstorms? Sky Demon, Sky Demon. Tony recited Shimu's name twice in his mind, and suddenly felt that Shimu was indeed worthy of this title, because he can really completely control the color of the sky and the weather, such as the red mist that covered the world and the thunderstorm just now. Moreover, the thunderstorm was so powerful that even Tony did not dare to bear it. He can only keep shuttling in thunderstorms, avoiding the attacks of thunderstorms. Fortunately, he has the rabbit charm, so he is extremely fast, and even thunderstorms cannot attack him for a while. And soon, he found an opportunity to attack. The next second, a scorching heat gaze instantly moved towards Shimu's snake. Shimu didn't expect that Tony would attack him at this time. He couldn't dodge for a moment and was directly pierced by the snake's wings. However, before Tony could laugh out loud, Shimu's wings began to return to normal. There is no doubt that this is the function of the horse charm. Soot previously gave the power of the horse talisman to Shimu, and the horse talisman also played its role at this time. Seeing this, Tony was speechless. Damn demons. All 10 of them actually have regenerative healing factor. How can I defeat this TD at this moment? Shimu was also extremely angry at this moment because he had already seen it. Tony's current power comes entirely from the 5 talismans in the murderous mouth. Damn holy lord. Can't you keep an eye on your own spells? Shimu couldn't help but cursed in his heart. Then, he flapped his wings again and flew towards Tony with huge amounts of wings. Before he could get close to Tony, Shimu waved his wings again, and the invisible wind blades began to attack again. At the moment, Tony really had a headache, because he not only has to avoid the thunderstorm attack, but also the wind blade attack launched by Shimu's wings. But fortunately, he had the rabbit talisman in his hand, so he was extremely fast. Even in the air, he gritted his teeth and avoided all attacks. Then, just when he was about to mock Shimu, the next second, he suddenly felt something was wrong. An inexplicable fear suddenly surged into my heart. Before he could react, a black figure suddenly appeared from behind. Immediately afterwards, a pair of sharp claws grabbed his armor, instantly leaving a terrifying gash on it. What the hell? Tony was instantly shocked and quickly activated the power of the rabbit charm and rushed forward. After rushing out for several thousand meters, Tony looked back in shock. Immediately afterwards, a familiar figure appeared where he was before. It's Shimu. When he saw this scene, Tony looked in disbelief because he clearly saw Shimu far away from him just now. When did he run behind him? At the same time, Shimu also felt a little uncomfortable. Although he destroyed Tony's armor, the righteous magic on the armor also corroded his claws. Although the wound healed quickly, it still made him feel extremely angry. The next second, Shimu once again waved huge amounts of wings and rushed towards Tony. Chapter 100. The 12 talismans return to their places, but the Holy Lord can't tear them apart with Death God's knowledge. The situation was urgent, and there was no time to think too much. Tony once again used the power of the rabbit charm to teleport far away to avoid Shimu's attack. Then when he looked back, he saw an incredible scene. At the moment, 211 Mu actually appeared in the sky, and the 2 Westwoods in completely different places. What's the situation? Is this duplication? Tony was a little confused. Then he checked the degree of damage to the armor. I saw that a large piece of the armor's shoulder was torn open by Shimu's claws. This surprised Tony a little. You must know that his armor is made of special metal, so it should not be damaged so seriously. Obviously, Nishiki's claws are a bit too sharp, but fortunately, there was a dog charm, so Tony's charm armor was automatically repaired quickly. The dog talisman originally did not have the ability to automatically repair, but with the blessing of Dad's magic, it now has a power similar to the horse talisman. And it is because of this power that Tony can fight the devil. Otherwise, at the moment, he would not be able to hold on any longer. From afar, Shimu also saw that the damage to Tony's armor was being repaired. He instantly guessed that it must be the Holy Lord's spell, which made him even more speechless. If the Holy Lord just took care of his talismans, how could there be so many bad things? Although he was a little speechless, Shimu quickly launched an attack, because to be honest, Western University really hates Tony. Immediately afterwards, Shimu rushed over again, and this time the 2 Shimu acted together. This is a kind of magic of Shimu, similar to duplication, and humans can't tell the difference at all. Seeing the 2 Shimu rushing over, Tony didn't dare to be careless and quickly rushed into the distance. Originally, as a sky demon, Shimu flight's speed was unmatched. But with the blessing of the rabbit talisman, Tony's time was actually on par with Shimu's. Tony was even able to find time to attack. As another scorching light snaked out, One of his Shimu instantly turned into a black aura and disappeared. Tony immediately concluded that what he just hit must be Shimu's duplication, and the remaining one was naturally Shimu's true body. After setting the goal, Tony suddenly had an idea in his mind. The next second, he speeded up again, and at the same time, he began to turn the magic in his body to concentrate all the magic energy on the dangerous arc reactor. Tony knew that ordinary attacks could not hurt Shimu, so he concentrated all the magic that his father had attached to the spell armor on the murderous mouth. Coupled with the power of 5 talismans, Tony is bound to win Westwood. Not to mention killing Shimu, at least make him unable to move. Seeing Shimu getting closer and closer to him, Tony gritted his teeth and finally made up his mind. The next second, he stopped suddenly, turned around, and launched an attack. A huge amount of energy burst out from his fierce mouth and went straight to Shimu. Shimu had no time to react and was directly hit in the body by the energy cannon containing the power of righteous magic and spells. With a scream, Shimu's body instantly burned and then turned directly into fly ash. What the hell? I killed a demon? When he saw this scene, Tony was instantly confused. He had no idea what was going on. He remembered clearly that his father had clearly told him that demons could not be killed. If this is the case, how should we explain the scene that just happened? Unless what he just attacked was not Shimu's body at all. Thinking of this, Tony's eyes widened instantly. When he wanted to check where Shimu was again, it was already too late, because the next second, a sharp claw suddenly appeared in front of him out of thin air. Then he directly tore off the 5 charms and a large piece of mecha in front of him. Immediately afterwards, Shimu's figure began to appear in front of him. Damn it, why didn't anyone tell me that this guy could turn invisible? At the moment, Tony was shocked and speechless. He wanted to do something more, but as Shimu destroyed his spell armor, the spell armor had lost power at this moment. Damn it! After saying this, Tony fell to the ground directly. Shimu looked at Tony falling from the air with a sneer and did not choose to kill them all. Because Shimu is not feeling well now, powerful righteousness magic has been cast on the spell, and these righteousness magic are constantly corroding Shimu's claws. This made him very painful, and he was not in the mood to play with Tony at all. But then, Shimu still reluctantly removed the 5 talismans with pain and then flew to the area where the Holy Lord was. He wants to hand over all 5 talismans to the Holy Master. In this case, the Holy Hand will regain its full power. Shimu flapped his wings and flew quickly over New York City. Wherever he looked, there were raging demon dragons and Chitauri soldiers everywhere. Although humans are also struggling to resist, it is obvious that humans are too weak to resist the attacks of the demon dragons and Chitauri. Immediately afterwards, Shimu also saw those guys called Avengers. But at the moment, these people are not in a good situation either, because there were too many demon dragons and Chitauri soldiers. They were quickly overwhelmed. Overall, Shimu feels that they will win this war. This is really a good thing for the devil. After all, Shimu also longs to rule the sky again. Not long after, Shimu finally came to the Holy Lord. Far away, Shimu saw a scene that left him speechless. At the moment, the Holy Lord was actually beaten back by a human being, although he knew that Death God's innate power could restrain demons. Shimu did not expect that the Holy Master would be so powerless in front of Chunlong damn guy. Forced back by Chunlong again, the Holy Lord was really furious at this moment. But he had no choice, because Chunlong's power really completely overpowered him, and he didn't get all the talismans, which meant that he couldn't use his full strength at all. Holy Lord! Suddenly at this moment, a voice rang. The Holy Master looked back and saw Shimu appearing not far away, seemingly holding something in his hand. Just when the Holy Master was a little curious, Shishu had already taken all the things in his hands. Holy Lord, this is your remaining spell, Nishiki shouted. When the Holy Lord heard this, his eyes suddenly lit up. At the same time, 5 talismans appeared in his sight, which were the 5 talismans he was missing. Without any hesitation, I rushed over immediately. At the moment, the Holy Lord was extremely excited, because finally he's getting all his power, In his heyday, he may not be an unbeatable opponent. At the same time, Qianlong was also surprised when he saw the 5 talismans, because he knew that these 5 talismans were on Tony's talisman armor before. But now Shimu actually brought these 5 talismans, which proves that Tony is now in a very bad situation. When he thought of this, Qianlong felt a little regretful. If he hadn't forced Tony to deal with Shimu, maybe this kind of thing wouldn't have happened. But now, it's useless to talk about this. The most important thing now is not to let the Holy Master get the remaining talismans. Otherwise, I'm afraid I won't be able to stop the Holy Lord. Thinking like this, Qianlong rushed towards the 5 talismans without any hesitation. He wants to get the spell before the Holy Lord. But how could Shimu give him this opportunity? Although Qianlong's unexplained power naturally restrains the Holy Lord, it has much less restraint on Shimu, so Shimu is not afraid of Qianlong's power. The next second, Shimu flew directly towards Qianlong. Seeing this, Qianlong had no choice but to give up trying to snatch the talisman, and instead started fighting with Shimu. And at this moment, the Holy Master finally got the remaining 5 talismans. The moment the Holy Lord came into contact with the talisman, the 5 talismans turned into 5 kinds of power and entered the Holy Lord's body. The next second, the Holy Lord's body burst out with a violent burst of light. An endless black aura began to appear in the Holy Eye's body. Sensing the power emerging from his body, the Holy Lord finally returned to his peak. Finally, my power has been restored. Ha ha ha. The Holy Lord looked up to the sky and laughed. At this moment, he felt more powerful than ever before. Now he has not only recovered all his strength, but with the blessing of Shimu magic, his strength is even stronger than before. Immediately afterwards, he suddenly focused on Qianlong, who was fighting Shimu. Shimu, he is mine. Give him to me. The Holy Emperor shouted at Shimu angrily. When Shimu heard this, he didn't feel any hesitation at all, and then waved his wings and left, because he knew that the Holy Lord really hated Qianlong. Qianlong, I will tear your body apart. The Holy Lord laughed crazily, opened his mouth and sprayed out a stream of hot dragon flames, heading straight for Qianlong. Now he wants to tear apart Death God with his own hands. Facing the Holy Lord's attack, Qianlong did not dare to be careless and hurriedly dodged to the side, but was still injured by the Holy Lord's dragon flame. Although Death God's mysterious power quickly repaired the burned body, Qianlong still felt incredible, because at the moment, the power erupting from the Holy Lord is too powerful. Immediately afterwards, before he could react, the Holy Lord swung over with another heat vision. At this moment, the situation suddenly reversed. Qianlong began to become passive, but the Holy Lord began to attack. As for Shimu, he flew to the top of the Stark building and then quietly watched the scene in front of him. There is no need for him to take action on the current battlefield. All he has to do is wait for the end of this war. However, in Shimu's view, the outcome of this war has been determined. Zero, please give me flowers. It's obvious that the demons will win in the end. But is that really the case? It's definitely not that simple. The next second, Shimu suddenly noticed a dangerous aura, and it was a threat that he had never felt before. Without any hesitation, Shimu instantly spread his wings and rushed out. Then I looked back and saw that suddenly he saw a bald woman suddenly appearing where he was before. Although this woman looks ordinary, she gives Shimu an extremely powerful sense of oppression. Just when Shimu couldn't figure out the origin of this woman, the Holy Lord on the side suddenly looked over. Immediately afterwards, the Holy Master's expression changed and he shouted loudly, "Shimu, be careful, this is Gu." Ancient One. When Shimu heard this, he was instantly stunned, because he heard Su Ku and Holy Lore mention the name Ancient One more than once before. It is said that she is a very powerful magician, even more powerful than the undead god who sealed them back then. If the demons encounter the Ancient One, they will almost all be defeated and sealed. Thinking of this, Shimu didn't have any hesitation at all. He looked up to the sky and shouted, "Curse Blue." As a smart devil, Shimu would not fight an uncertain battle. So he directly called Su-Ku, because he knows that only Su-Ku can deal with the Ancient One. Then, in the next second, a portal suddenly appeared next to Shimu, and then Su-Ku slowly walked out. "Hello, Ancient One Magician." Su-Ku looked at the Ancient One in front of him with a smile and said, "You are really easy for me to find." It turns out that just when the Holy Lord and Shimu were fighting, Su-Ku had been looking for traces of the Ancient One in New York City, but for some reason, he found nothing. Just when he thought the Ancient One wouldn't appear, he suddenly noticed Shimu's call. Then, he came here and saw Tung. At the same time, Shimu and Shengzhu breathed a sigh of relief when they saw Su-Ku appearing. Then, the Holy Lord rushed towards Chun-Long again. In the view of the Holy Lord, as long as Su-Ku takes action, the Ancient One will no longer be a problem. Shimu came to Suk. Then he said with a careful look, "See you, Lan. You are right. This human magician is indeed not simple. The magical aura on her body is really too powerful." Su-Ku smiled and then said to Shimu, "Okay, you have nothing to do here. You can go. Just leave it to me." When Shimu heard this, he nodded immediately, then flapped his wings and left. He knew he couldn't deal with the Ancient One, so he simply didn't cause any trouble to Su-Ku. At the moment, the chaos in this city has reached its peak, and the power of Black Aura has become extremely powerful. Shimu must quickly find a place to absorb the power of Black Aura in order to become more powerful. After all, he also knew that his magic could not last for too long, so he could only hurry up. Ever since, only Su-Ku and Rong-Ji were left here. Don't ask why Loki is here, because Loki has always been here, but Loki is still quite discerning. When he saw that only Su-Ku and Ancient One were left here, he knew that a peak battle was about to happen here. In order not to be implicated, Loki hurriedly walked quietly into the protective shield formed by the space gem. There is no way. He doesn't want to be affected by such a battle. Suk naturally discovered Loki's plot, but he didn't say anything because there was no need. Then at this moment, Ancient One finally spoke. "Devil, this farce should stop. If you can bring the other demons back to hell, then how about I just pretend that nothing happened?" Ancient One said calmly. When Su-Ku heard this, he only felt funny. He looked towards the ancient road. "Only you?" To be honest, even the first-generation Sorcerer Supreme would not dare to talk to me like this. Besides, it's not like I haven't killed the Sorcerer Supreme before. Ancient One's face changed slightly when he heard this, because she also knows that Su-Ku once killed the original Sorcerer Supreme. But then again, Ancient One doesn't actually care about this, because in her opinion, she is far more powerful than all previous Sorcerer Supremes. In any case, seeing his proposal rejected by Su-Ku, Ancient One stopped talking nonsense. "If that's the case, then I won't be polite," Ancient One said calmly. And as the Ancient One spoke, Su-Ku suddenly noticed something was wrong. He looked up and saw a huge amount of magic circle above his head. Obviously, this is a ceiling circle. At the same time, the Holy Lord not far away also noticed something was wrong. He looked up and saw a ceiling circle. Even Ishiki, who is flying in the air, is like this.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.